Hey, and we're live. Welcome to another Florida Blood Bowl AMA. Ask Me Anything. This is James over in Melbourne.
This is Ryan over in Tampa.
This is Jason in Jacksonville.
And we're very lucky tonight. We have two people who are going to be on the AMA. The first is a Blood Bowl legend, for better or for worse, right? And you may know him as Ramsey McPherson, otherwise known as what's your NAF ID?
Allegedly, I'm Norse.
Allegedly. Sound dwarvish to me.
Yeah, tell me about it. Coming at you live from sunny Connecticut.
Probably snowing in June.
Not quite, but not far off.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Ramsey on the show here, and for a couple reasons. One is if you didn't see the post that I dropped, we have an event coming up in July. It's Stunty Slam. I had to add the USA on there, not knowing that there was a UK version, and I was politely told and asked. Then I asked if I can keep using it, and they were like, "Absolutely, that's cool." So now there's a Stunty Slam in the UK and a Stunty Slam in the USA, which sounds like a weird John Mellencamp song. But anyway, I dropped a post, and we're going to have a painting contest for all of the coaches who are bringing Stunty teams. If you bring a team that's not a Stunty, well, we don't want you taking part in the painting contest. Basically, you're just going to be there to eat up space. But we have a very special guest painting judge who's going to be in Florida at that time, and that would be Ramsey. And we're very happy to have him as a judge for the event.
Thank you, Jim. I look forward to it.
So I was having a conversation with one of the guys who's been coming to some of the tournaments. It goes by Voltron on the NAF. His name's Kai. And I had no idea that he knew you. And then I had no idea that, and we were just talking about this before we went live, that some of the models from Arna Studio, who does a tremendous job in creating custom Blood Bowl figures for the community, there's a backstory behind some of these, like Boneyard and Mokana. I had no idea. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it really, I can't even give you timelines. It started, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. There was a guy called Mark Arana. He ran a really good cyanide league. And he really made this thing live. I mean, every team had its own logos. There was backstories. I mean, this wasn't just turning up once a week to play Blood Bowl online. I mean, this was naming your guys and writing fluff, and it was kind of the whole 9 yards. And a bunch of guys in the league came to me saying, we should do something nice for Mark. And it started out that I was going to paint a Minotaur for him. So for people that maybe don't know me that well, I guess I'm kind of a bit of a painter. I've been doing it for over 3 decades. So if I wasn't half decent by now, I should have stopped a long time ago. And it started out as, could you build kit bash a Minotaur and paint it for him? And I reached out to Raphael and said, look, if we designed a Minotaur, how much would it cost? And how many would I have to order to make it worthwhile? And we went back and forth, and eventually it became obvious that, we had about 40 guys in the league. And if everyone wanted a Minotaur, then we could actually get this Minotaur made and created and get it painted up. And at that point, that's when I reached out to Mark and said, look, this is what we're doing for you. What do you want the guy to look like? So the good news is that the guy who actually had this Minotaur on his Chaos team, who was the guy who ran the league, he got to tell me, I want the tentacle to look like this. I want the claws to look like that. I mean, he basically told me his vision for Molcana, including the Saurus head on the base, because one of his team's arch rivals was a lizard man team. I think it's fair to say he actually lost to the lizard man on a fairly regular basis, but it seemed the fitting thing to do. So that started I guess a kind of a pattern of behavior that we worked with Raphael. We got the miniatures. I painted one up for Mark. He was over the moon with it. And then about a year later, we discovered that one of the members of the league had been diagnosed with cancer. And we did the same thing for him. He had a star player in his team called Boneyard the Reaper. And that particular player's best play of all time was when he blitzed an Amazon thrower in the backfield, powed her, killed her on the blitz, picked up the ball and ran in for a touchdown, all in the same turn. So that's why the model looks the way it does, kind of carrying the Amazon head in one hand and the ball in the other. It's unfortunately a very sad story. Unfortunately, Sean didn't survive his battle with cancer, but we went ahead and finished the miniature, and we had a number of them produced, and then I painted up a model to give to his widow, just to let her know how much Sean had meant to us as a community, and what a great guy he was, and how much he would be missed.
Had no idea that there was such an awesome story behind, and I'm proud to own that model.
That's a good story.
Thank you. I'm glad you own it. Yeah, it was a really good league. I think online gaming sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap because there's a lot of douchebags out there that, as soon as someone dies, all of a sudden their connection gets suspect. But this was a really good league. People turned up week after week after week for, I think I was in the league for about 4 years. So you got to know people, and you got to know that, you got to know them outside of Blood Bowl. And it was nice to be able to do these things, both for Mark and posthumously for Sean.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you're right. The online stuff, we tried to get an online league going here in Florida, and it fell apart before it even took off. And, sometimes it's hard to read and get the meaning behind what someone is typing. So it could go south really quick. But to have an online league to run that long and to develop those friendships, that's fantastic. I hope we can get to a point in Florida where we're able to do that. But we're enjoying the tabletop. We get together quite often. We have events here. Oh, geez. Sometimes it started off as one a month. Now we're up to almost 2 a month. Sometimes we've even had a trifecta where we had 3 events in one weekend. So, we're very fortunate to be able to. And one of the events, we all went out to dinner afterwards. And I can tell you, I wish Ryan was there. He wasn't able to make it from Tampa over, but Jason was there. And we went to an Irish pub, and it was a hell of a fun time. It was a lot of fun.
That one was awesome. Yeah, it was. We were trying to go to a barbecue joint, which we thought, hey, it's barbecue, beer, it's going to be great. We didn't realize it was $50 a plate. So you see all of us just jaywalking across this busy road, of course, led by our resident Florida Blood Bowl lawyer himself, Eric, and he's just flying down the road, and all these normally decent-looking people, and me being a very fat guy just running across this road. We looked hilariously silly.
Looked worse after we were drinking.
Yeah. The run back was pretty interesting.
I'm pretty sure none of us have a 6-pack, right?
Only in the fridge.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's about it.
I do, but it's compact in a lot of ice.
Yeah, I've got a keg.
Yeah, now we're talking.
A fuel tank for a love machine. I think that's a shirt that I saw once that stuck with me. So, the online stuff, we're going to have another guest on here. His name is Stephen Albrecht. Hopefully. He was at work, and he said that he would jump on once he got home. But he's currently participating in the qualifiers for the 2018 Blood Bowl Online World Cup. So he's got some stories to tell. And I watched the end of his last match, and it was quite the upset. So I'll let him go into all the details about it. But I did watch the last couple of minutes of the match, and the look on the other guy's face was just disbelief. And then I swear I saw some liquid coming out of his eyes. Could have been tears, could have been blood. I'm not quite sure, but I saw something there.
It was quite it was one of those plays in Blood Bowl that if it was live, you're gonna have 2 reactions. You're either gonna be really mad, or you're gonna be like, well, fuck me, that happened. Like it was one of those plays, like everything just had to go pretty right. And there was a lot of, 3+ and stuff like that, multiples in a row. Things had to bounce the right way, but it did. And, it's not to take away that he got lucky. He played it really well, but there's a little luck in there too. One bad roll, as we all know, and you can be nuffled.
Well, knowing when to ride your luck is Blood Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what.
Yeah, because he could have gone for the tie. That was the thing. He could have very securely gone for a tie, and the other guy did have people in scoring position if he messed up. So, but he chose to go for the win.
He was expecting it to go into overtime. He was trying to avoid it, and then the kickoff ended up being a blitz, like of all things, and he was just like unbelievable. And then the blitz happened, and then well, I could sit here and tell you about it, but you can hear it from Steven himself.
Right.
He'd be more than glad to tell you about it. But so actually, a congratulations is in order as well. One of my good friends who we had on the AMA, I think last one we did was Mark Zuckerman from up in New York, who runs the Empire Cup and Zeech's Challenge. So Ramsey was at the Empire Cup and he took first place. You want to tell us about that?
Well, yeah, sure. I rode my luck a lot. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to think. If you, there was only 8 guys there, which I think is a little unfortunate. I get the feeling that it's normally a bit bigger than that. With Chaos Dwarves, and then you discover there's a Goblin team and a Halfling team and an Ogre team, and you rub your hands in glee. I didn't get to play any of them. I got to play Khemri, and then another Chaos Dwarf team, and then Norse. And I scored on turn 16, turn 16, and turn 16 in all 3 games. I should really apologize to the Khemri guy. I also I scored on turn 8 with an inaccurate long bomb that bounced into the hands of the catcher in the end zone. What I call hobgoblin bullshit. So it was a great day, lovely weather, nice guys. I think expecting a bigger turnout. I certainly thought it would be a little more than 8 players, but really nice people. And my kids went to the beach. They had a whale of a time. One of them still has sunburn to show for it. But it was just one of those situations where everything just seemed to fall into place at the right time. So the stars aligned, and here we are on turn 16, and I can walk it in for the winning touchdown. And that just happened 3 games in a row. So I didn't get to play the stunty teams. Anyone that looks at the teams that were there and assumes that I got an easy pass, I did not. But I certainly took advantage of some pretty good luck. And my apologies to my opponents for that.
Well, that happens to the best and the worst,
I've been on the receiving end many times. When you do everything right and the opponent rolls 4 6s, and you're like, well, fuck it. So every now and again, it goes your way as well, I suppose, right?
Yeah, you got to stick it out and not rage quit.
Oh, please! If I was going to rage quit, I'd done it 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, there are legends of people rage quitting by flipping the board.
Nah. What, with my models on it? Are you kidding me?
No, I speak of one individual. I just wanted to see if I can get you to say anything. That's all.
I've never played a board flipper. If anyone flipped the board against me, then there would be police, ambulances. There would be a problem.
Do you know who I'm referring to?
I don't think I do.
I didn't know if you were there for that event or not. So I don't really care if I drop names at this point, because I don't think anyone's listening other than the few of us and the 5 people I see watching right now. But when I ran one of the events in Wilkes-Barre, I got a message from somebody, and they're like, "Hey, just to give you a heads up, there's going to be a guy who's probably attending your event, and his name's Tom Rummery. And he's a veteran coach, but he also has a bad reputation. And at least at one time, he flipped the board with all the models on it because he was pissed." And I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
Well, I know Tom. I don't know him well, but he's been around Blood Bowl for over a decade. I did not know he was a board flipper.
Yeah, I saw he won Chaos Cup one year.
Yeah, I know he's a creepy guy that drives a transit van and looks like he molests children, but. I didn't know he was a board flipper. That's news to me.
So what's worse, the fact that he's pedo or that he flipped boards?
Flipping boards, obviously.
Yeah, probably.
Please, are you kidding me? I painted that shit. Don't you dare.
Painstakingly.
Yes.
Well, he didn't flip any boards when he came to our tournament, but he did have a couple of bouts with Tourette's. So we had some kids in the store, and we had to warn him, a few times. But
I never saw him like that. I know he's a guy that could get riled up.
Yeah,
but I didn't think he could get that riled up.
Yeah, well, that's the rumor, that's the legend, anyway. And I never seen a tournament like it where I was running it with Tom, and I wasn't playing in it. And Chris Steinbacher, Chris.
I know Chris. Yeah.
Yep, he was there, and he was playing Tom, and Tom by that point had already gotten underneath everybody's skin. So there were so many people playing their own matches, yet they were so worried about Chris playing Tom, and they were turning around and they were like, kick his ass, Chris, like in the middle of the match. And I'm like, damn, like you had everybody in the store rooting against him.
Yeah,
against
you have
Tom.
to go out your way to piss off an entire town, don't you?
Oh, he did. Well, like his reputation preceded him, but it's all funny. I mean, nothing major happened, and he walked away. Everything was all right. He wouldn't throw him out or anything. He didn't burn the building down, so we're okay.
All right. Well, let me just say, I've been to Wilkes-Barre a few times in the last couple of years, and that's the nicest bunch of guys on the face of the planet. I love those, Joe and everyone over at that shop, just really, really good guys. So if you manage to piss them off, you have to be like a serial motherfucker. They
well, I've pissed them off, and I'm not a serial motherfucker, just a jerk sometimes, but well within my rights. But they like Kirsten at the store. There's a lot of good people in Wilkes-Barre, and I miss that league. And most of all, I miss playing with my buddy Tom. When we ran our league back there, he and I did everything together. And to have like a wingman like that, so that everything's not on your shoulders, whether it's a tournament or a league or all the bullshit that goes along with either one, it's a good feeling. So like when I came down here, I didn't have that. And now I feel like I do. Like now we have such a great community. Like we had this tournament this past weekend in St. Augustine. It was the D20 Bowl. And the whole thing happened really quick. I mean, I'm talking like within 3 weeks. Does that sound about right?
It didn't feel like 3 weeks, yeah.
So I talked to Phil at the NAF, and, he made a special instance here where because it was a Game Store owner and he was trying to get Blood Bowl off the ground, like he gave us sanctioning. So I was there to run it, and I got a ringer so I can play. But the day before, or 2 days before, I was sick as a dog, and I felt better Saturday, and the event was on a Sunday. And Sunday, all Saturday night, I had like just the most terrible sweats all night long, and I thought, I'm not going. So had I not, I ended up going at the last possible second. But what I realized was, had I not gone, there were at least 4 or 5 people who easily could have stepped up and ran that thing, and I wouldn't have had to worry about it. And actually, the ringer who was there, who's that, Chris Forrester? Yes. He did a tremendous job in stepping up to be the ringer so that I can play and knock another one off my 24. But it was like, it wasn't even a thing. I didn't have to tell him nothing. He was just like, he was on the ball. So he did all the score tracking. He kept all the games moving along. He answered all the rules. He did a tremendous job, and I can't thank him enough. So, but we got a great crew here in Florida.
Sounds like it was a good. Who won? By the way, I never even heard, and never. Who won that one?
Oh, I didn't post the stuff yet.
Chris Nelson pulled off the double last weekend. He won the Melbourne, and then he won the St. Augustine.
Okay, that had to shoot him pretty high in the VOODOO standings.
It all depends on what Josh did on Saturday, if he played on Saturday. But him and Josh are pretty neck and neck, and I think they both leapfrog John.
Yeah, okay. John had to miss a couple, and he's dying because he did. So he'll be eager at the next one, and he's looking to going to Tennessee, which I can't go. I was really hoping to, but it doesn't look like that's going to work out. So my next event will be Stunty Slam, which I'm really excited about. But I'm
assuming that's after Inconceivable, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So my next one that I'm playing in is going to be Inconceivable. The next one I'm running is going to be Stunty Slam. Yeah, I'm really looking. Let's talk about that for a second. So Ramsey, I know you're in the Beast Tournament Series, which for those who don't know and are listening, the NAF, we have Tournament Series, and for the East Coast, there's the Beast. For the Midwest, there's Scars. For the West Coast, there's the Grand Prix. And then for the deep, deep South, which is where we all are, except for Ramsey, who's in beautiful, sunny Connecticut, we have the VOODOO Tournament Series. So Inconceivable is part of that. And if you haven't guessed by the name Inconceivable, it's a Blood Bowl tournament based off of The Princess Bride. Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, the artwork that's coming out for that is just great.
That's my buddy Gary Radziak, who I've known since he was in diapers, and I'm not afraid to say it. But he's a tremendously talented artist, and I've managed to get him into the Blood Bowl community. Like he started off doing all the Hooky Bowl artwork. Like Ramsey, if you ever saw some of the posters at the store, like Gary did all the artwork for all that stuff. Like
Yeah, there's a bunch of his stuff on the walls. It's he's a really good artist. Yeah, absolutely.
He is, and now he's gotten a lot of roots in the Blood Bowl community. A lot of people are going to him for their tournaments, like Brian Two, Tom, who does the Tournament of Madness, had Gary do his stuff.
Yep.
And now we have some of the guys here going to Gary, like Joe Cohen, who's running the Inconceivable out of Jacksonville. He worked with Gary to do the artwork. And you have Inigo and Vizzini, and they look like goblins. And if you haven't seen it, I'll post it on the AMA event link, and you could take a look. But it is tremendous. I love it.
Yeah, I picked up the trophies because, unbeknownst to me, even one of the game stores local here in Tampa makes trophies.
Armada Games.
Yeah, James popped up and said, like, can you pick these up for us and drive them to the next tournament so we don't have to pay shipping? I'm like, yeah, why not? So I got to see them firsthand. Like, the trophies are great. So whoever gets those is going to be quite happy with that on their mantle.
And I found out about Armada Games from Jamie Fisher, who runs, one of the longest running and biggest tournaments up in the Northeast. My memory always fails me every time I do these AMAs. Ramsey, what's the name of his event?
Four Diamonds.
Four Diamonds Cup. That's right.
Yep. It's been running for 11 years now.
11 years. Oh my God. And I have yet to make it to one. I was so poised to be at this one. No. And I was in Pennsylvania.
Never been to one?
Nope.
Holy shit.
I moved to Florida and I was going to this one. And, I was coming home for a business trip to Pennsylvania. And I purposely scheduled it for the same weekend as Four Diamonds so that I can go. But I wanted Tom and Roger to go with me. So both of them, for legitimate reasons, they kind of backed out, and I could have forced them to go, like the pity, oh, come on, and they would have went, but I really didn't want to do that. So we ended up going to see the Avengers 3 times. Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad use of time. But,
no, not at all. But I
Four Diamonds is awesome. And I think this year we had over 50 guys there.
Wow.
Jamie will. I mean, over the last 11 years, I think they've raised about $40,000 for the Four Diamonds Fund. No, it's phenomenal. It's also, okay. Props to Jamie and his wife. They run an incredible show, but it's just one of the best run events I've ever been to. It runs to time. It's the nicest guys. It's for such a good cause. And the amount of effort that guys like Dean and Roy go to, like painting teams as prizes.
Oh my God.
Some of the prizes that are available, they could sell them on eBay for like $1,000. We're talking like, 30 or 40 model teams with sideline figures. And the painting is way up there. It's just a really, really nice bunch of guys. They do such a good job. Until I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to make Four Diamonds every single year. It's about a 4-hour drive each way. And I hate I'm halfway there and I'm like, why the fuck do I keep on doing this? But it's, how could I not support such a great cause and such a great bunch of guys.
Do you do that whole trip in one day? You drive down, play, and then drive back?
I've done it in one day. I'll be honest and say since I turned 40, I'm more inclined to stay overnight and come back the following day.
Yeah.
I'm showing my age now. It's funny, when I was a kid and my parents say they hated driving at night because they couldn't see, and I was like, oh, you're just fucking old, fuck off. But now I'm in my 40s, I'm like, I don't want to drive at night anymore. So yeah, I stay overnight, which with when I bring the wife and kids, that adds a little extra cost, but it's still worth it. Anything to support the Four Diamonds. It's just a really nice tournament. I think it was the first Blood Bowl tournament I went to after I moved to the US, so it's got a kind of a special place in my heart.
Mine was Zuck's tournament, the Empire Cup. It was not only was it my first tournament, but it was where I developed my hatred of meeples. And
yeah, what's the meeples?
Christ,
where did meeples come from?
I fucking hate meeples, man.
Meeples and Smurfs.
Yeah, the Smurfs is a new thing that Alan's just doing to fuck with me, and I really, I get it. I mean, you can do when you make a Blood Bowl team, you can go through like the laziest, cheapest, sorriest excuse for a team, or you can go the most expensive, ridiculous. I mean, I guess that's the thing that's cool about Blood Bowl. You can spend as little or as much as you want on making your team unique. So in recent, if you look online in the Blood Bowl community stuff, you see teams like, oh, I'm going to make me a minion team. All right. Yeah, that's all right. Or I'm going to make me, I don't know. I've seen some crazy shit. And sometimes it works. Like here, I think I talked about it the last AMA. When I went to a Moracle Cup, did you see Tristan McCarriger's slan team with the googly eyes, those little balls? Ramsey, you were there. Did you see that team?
I may have seen them online. I certainly didn't see them at the cup. No.
So it's a mind fuck of a team. I mean, they're these little like art balls with like googly eyes, and it's a whole thing. But I could appreciate that, and so I played this guy at a Moracle or Empire Cup the first time, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to play Blood Bowl, which I get. So he wanted, instead of borrowing a team, though, he decided that he was going to run all meeples, and it was a Goblin team, and it was very hard to distinguish anything from anything. I think he had some kind of like cockamamie way of like describe. I don't know, but it was a very fresh. I ended up pitch clearing him. I don't know. Maybe it was my like loathing and hatred of those meeples coming through onto the pitch through my dice. But yeah, I pitch cleared him, and I think that was the only match I won that day.
That's a mission accomplished.
It was, but ever since then, I've had a hatred of meeples. So Ken Parks was fucking with me online. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to play meeples." So he started posting pictures, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I actually like those. They have faces. There were halflings, and there was something." And he's like, "Oh, that was not my intent. Obviously, I wanted to, make you angry." So the game store we game at for our league, and we run several tournaments there, is Get Your Fun On in Melbourne. It's a great store, great owners, and they have a jar of meeples at the front counter. So Ken saw them, and he bought them, motherfucker. And I'm assuming I'm going to see a whole shit ton of meeples. It's like I'm giving away. I'm telling everybody, yes, kryptonite is my weakness. Well, meeples are my weakness. I hate them.
That might be spinach, man. Like, you kick the shit out of them. Like, that might not be kryptonite. That might be your spinach, Popeye.
We're going to find out at Stunty Slam if somebody comes at me. Come at me, bro. Come at me with your meeples.
Yeah, shaped wooden objects scare you. Interesting.
Yeah.
One of the guys at Empire Cup did have a Lego team.
Yeah, I played him at Zeech, and that team, I give props to that team because he had it figured out in an awesome way, like with the skills.
Yeah, they were all numbered. The skills were on the bases.
The positionals were exactly what they needed to be. Was it the Necro team?
No, it was Kemri.
Okay.
So he had 4 mummies, and but he had the Anubis heads.
Yeah. I mean, they looked positionals, yeah.
I'd rather see a painted team, but there was nothing wrong with it. I knew exactly what was what. And if they had to go prone or stunt, he could lead them back or forward. I mean, the whole thing was like clockwork. It was beautiful.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I once saw a guy, I'm not going to name names, but I once saw a guy who used wild animal miniatures, which I think may have come from a $2 jungle set. So you had to remember that the bears were black orcs and the tigers were blitzers, and holy shit, I felt like calling PETA by the time I was done. It was just miserable.
That's a thing. Like we were talking about turning 40. It's like I turned 40 and I have shit for brains now, so I don't want to have to remember that this guy is this guy when if the moon is full and if the sky is right, and then no.
If it's a Tuesday, it's a goblin, but otherwise it's an ogre. It's like, shit.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But what did I want to say, though? We were talking about something. We were talking about Zuckerman. We were talking about Empire Cup. And we were talking about something else. There's something I wanted to talk about.
Your first US tournament.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time. But there was something specific. I don't know. It'll come to me. I got to write shit down. That's what I got to do.
Yes. Well, you say your first U.S. tournament. Like, have you gone to a non-U.S. tournament?
I haven't.
Quite a few, yeah.
No, I was talking to James. Sorry, James was like, that was my first U.S. tournament. I'm like, have you gone to any outside? Like, so.
Yeah, maybe there's certain parts of Florida or New York that might qualify as outside the U.S., but no.
I know you're planning on Spike Cup, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm gonna. There's rumors that Immortal might be in Canada.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then I'm probably going to hold off on going to the high north. But Jack Petrushka from Maelstrom Gaming Mats just ran his Powtown tournament this past weekend, and that looks like a hell of a tournament. And of course, you got Spike, and there's a lot of Canadian tournaments that I would like to go to. But yeah, I'm gonna see. I think a Oracle would probably be the one. If they end up getting it once the bidding starts and all that stuff, that I would like to go to. So I have a bucket list of tournaments. I like to get to Mark Perry's Sin City Bowl. I would like to get out there. I would like to get to Brian Two's Rocky Mountain Rampage. I would like to get out to San Francisco and get out to what's the tournament out there? I can't think of it.
Before you go on, can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
For the longest time, I heard that talk on different podcasts like that about Brian 2, and I always assumed that it was Brian like the number 2, like he was like there was like another there was another one out there, so it's like Brian 1, Brian 2, and then I saw his name one day online. I'm like, oh well, that makes sense.
TEW 2. West Coast Quake. That's the San Francisco one out in California. But there's so many of them. There's so many good Blood Bowl. And of course, Oklahoma and Spiky. This is my first year going to Chaos Cup. A lot of actually, it seems like all of Florida now is going to Chaos Cup. Before it was just Patrick Wynn, and now this year, so Ryan's going, I'm going, and Patrick are going. We're flying. And then there's a road trip that's leaving from Florida with Eric, John, Alberto, Cody, Josh, Mark. And I swear there was one more person that I keep forgetting who.
There's 8 of them going. So I think there's 11 of us now.
Oh my God. Florida's going to have a huge crew. It's going to be awesome. Very excited to go to Chicago to play Blood Bowl. Have you been to Chaos Cup, Ramsey?
I have not, no. I try to avoid the official Games Workshop events. Just because I don't like Games Workshop.
But how much involvement do they even have with it? I know it's a U.S. major, but...
Yeah, I think these days almost none, to be honest. But
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm a former employee who has feelings of wrongdoing. So I went to... God, I'm showing my age now. I went to the Blood Bowl Resurrection, and I went to the first Blood Bowl in Nottingham in... What would it have been, like 2003, maybe? But I don't know. I don't really get warm, fuzzy feelings about majors. I actually prefer like more local events that are run. Sometimes they've got weird, wacky rules, but there's a little more love and TLC put into it. It's not just a rinse and repeat.
Yeah, Old Man Monkey was telling us about some of those tournaments when we had him on the AMA. And that was a great 2 hours of listening to Grandpa tell us some awesome Blood Bowl stories.
The old monkey goes back a very long way.
Yeah, he does. There was fire that was discovered, and then Blood Bowl, and he was there playing it with the bone dice and the rock dice.
Yeah, I believe he taught Jesus how to play Blood Bowl, or was it? It could have been Moses. I'm not sure.
We're going to have him on again and have him, regale us with some more stories, because that's just some good stuff right there.
Yeah. And in fairness to Jim, he traveled back when traveling for Blood Bowl wasn't a done thing. Nowadays it's kind of normal that people fly or you get a carpool going. But Jim used to go to events internationally back when people wouldn't, travel 5 miles for a Blood Bowl event. So he has friends on every corner of the earth, and some of his stories are NC-17 to say the least.
Those are the ones I'm looking forward to, and we can have them on this podcast. We don't need to be iTunes approved. Well, it's not a podcast; it's an AMA. But anyway.
Yeah, an AMA.
I'm too old to know the difference, to be honest.
Well, there's so many podcasts out there, and when Ryan and I started doing this, it just kind of fell into place that let's do a live AMA with no editing and no mixing or any of that stuff, and it takes a couple of weeks to put out. We just do it all live, and if you fuck up, you fuck up, and if you curse, you curse, and if you shit yourself, you shit yourself. I don't know.
I'm 2 out of 3 so far. Give me a few more drinks, I'll be fine.
I was just gonna say, before we started, unless you were boasting, you were up to 7, so you could.
Yeah,
shitting
I
yourself.
I finished my 7th drink, and my wife has yet to bring me my 8th, which is disappointing. So.
Oh Christ.
Never mind. I know where the fridge is. It's all good.
There you go.
You can have.
Yeah, if I go on mute for 30 seconds, don't blame me.
Nope, not at all. So we have So we talked about the one. We have Inconceivable coming up, which is in June, and not this weekend, but the following weekend. And that's based off The Princess Bride. And it's going to be, I mean, Joe was worried. This is his first tournament that he's run. And he was, very kind of worried that he wasn't going to get a good turnout. And I think we're over 20 coaches. We're almost at capacity. I think 24 is the max.
Yeah, he only had 4 slots left last time I saw.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you say you're basing a tournament off Princess Bride, does that mean you've got like a giant star player and you've got like how do you base a tournament off the Princess Bride? I'm curious.
So we have special play cards that Joe developed. Things like the Brute Squad, things like I'm trying to think of what else he came up with.
Rodents of unusual size.
Exactly. And
Buttercup.
Exactly.
He's got one. What is it? I don't think that means what you think it means.
Mm-hmm. So we got some cool fluff that he went and made custom rules for. The pitch and the special play cards. Even just the dice. So the whole thing is based off of the Princess Bride theme. I mean, having models made would have been awesome, but maybe for the second, he's already planning a second one because by now we all know it's going to go over really well. We have a good turnout. Everyone's really excited about it. So more and more fluff will just keep getting added to it. But it just the concept, like when he came up with it, it was like, oh, that sounds awesome.
That sounds really fun.
Are we doing the live movie again?
Yeah, that's another thing that we did for we did a hooky bowl. Skipping work, playing Blood Bowl on a Friday. And the theme for that tournament, I like to do themes. I don't know. Jack up in Canada thinks that we're crazy. He's like, I love the crazy ideas you guys come up with. It makes me laugh. But I don't know. I always think there should be some kind of theme. And so we did I gotten hooked on John, what's his name?
John Carpenter.
Thank you. John Carpenter. Yeah, see, my brain just goes to shit like after 9 o'clock. John Carpenter.
John Denver.
John Denver.
Because I'm 38. I haven't hit 40 yet.
All right, we're playing on a plane and we're gonna crash into the Rockies. Yeah, no, that's too soon. But so we did Big Trouble in Little China. We changed it to Big Trouble in Little Florida. Jack did a custom street bowl pitch with some artwork on there that was from the movie. But like a couple days before the event, we did a kind of like a Mystery Science Theater 3000. There's a bunch of them, but we found one called Rabbit, and it's a website where you can all like kind of send out invites and watch a movie with each other at the same time and either talk or chat. So we all watched Big Trouble in Little China, and some people had never seen it before. So we're going to do the same for The Princess Bride. I think the Thursday before the event, around 9 o'clock, we're going to watch the movie together. It's fun.
Extremely cool. Big Trouble in Little China, though, that's an awesome movie.
Oh, yeah, it was. Before that, we did They Live. With Maximum Overdrive. It wasn't a John Carpenter, but we did Maximum Overdrive. And then the next one we're going to do is going to be this. I'm going to do is The Thing. So I'm very excited about that. I already started putting some rules down for that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Should be a Beast of Nurgle rule in there.
Oh, no. There's some fun stuff in there.
So... I'm talking. The Florida community has become a literal community, so that's what's cool.
Sounds like you guys are doing events every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me run down the schedule and then tell me what you think. So we have Inconceivable coming up at the end of June on the 23rd. Then after that, part of the VOODOO tournament series is Tennessee. They're running the Great Smoky Mountain Bowl. A couple of us are going up there. Then after that, we have Stunty Slam in July, Beach Brawl in July in Winter Haven. So we have 2 in July. Then in August, we have the Diabolical Pitch Sanguinator Blood Bowl tournament. September, we have the Pro Bowl. And then we also have Chaos Cup. And then Liam has his Pirates of Nuffle, Curse of the Double Skulls, which pirate-themed Blood Bowl event. I can't wait to place my order with Black Scorpion Miniatures and get my Undead Pirates. They look so awesome. I can't wait to play that event.
Good call. Yep.
Definitely. We just added another one. I think that's in November. Yeah, so that's in November. So October, we have the biggest Blood Bowl weekend in Florida, I think, ever, or possibly since the Three Kingdoms Challenge, on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday, we have Blood Bowl Street Brawl tournament. And Saturday's Death Bowl team tournament, and then Sunday is what is it based? It's based off of Castlevania, but I can never remember if it's a Sevens event.
It's Dungeon.
Dungeon.
Okay.
Dungeon Sevens.
And then at the end of October is Oktoberfest, which Ramsey, I believe, was a champion of Oktoberfest one year in Wilkes-Barre.
When it was still in Pennsylvania and I could get to it, yes.
Yep. Scott Backer was funny. He's like, I would love to see a tournament where like me, Ramsey, and whoever wins down in Florida, like all play in the same tournament and have like a tournament of champions. I'm like, come on down to Florida. And then we have River City Dungeon Bowl tournament in December. And then there was just another one announced for November that's going to be at the brewery in St. Augustine. So, yeah, there's a lot of events.
That's awesome. I'm jealous.
Well, when you decide to give up Connecticut and you're tired of shoveling snow, you can come down here and shovel sand.
Jesus, don't tempt me.
After this trip down here in July, you never know.
Well, I was there in February, so no, Florida's part of my long-term plan. It's just not part of my short-term plan, sadly. But that sounds like you guys have got a really good scene going. Plus, I love theme Blood Bowl. I mean, don't get me wrong, the out-the-box vanilla Blood Bowl's fine, but adding your own flavor is always a really, really good thing. And I applaud anyone that has some fun with that. And my wife has just brought me more booze. Excellent.
Oh, man. I got no one to bring me booze, not even a dog.
Surround yourself with more people, my friend. Thank you, darling.
Yeah, I'm all alone here. Actually, at work, I usually would do these AMAs from Starbucks, so I would surround myself with too many people, sometimes crazy people. So doing this at work for me is actually nice and quiet and confined, and the audio is, pretty good. I don't pick up a lot of the ambulances or race cars going down the strip. So...
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's all good.
So,
go ahead.
Real quick, can we do talk about the last Tookie Bowl, though? Like, that was like one of the last big ones. The last Tookie Bowl. That was a good event. I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun.
For a Friday event.
Yeah. How many came out officially?
20.
20. Okay, for some reason I thought we had a little higher, but even so, 20 is amazing.
That's a lot of hooky. I approve.
Yeah, for a Friday event, I was shocked. I've been around the scene for a little while now. I did not recognize a lot of faces. I was like, wow, these are a lot of new faces around here.
Jacksonville came down in force. We got a lot of guys coming down now. Jason, who are some of the new people we have coming down from Jacksonville?
We had Clay come down. Who else did we have come down? I'm pulling it up right now. I saw Jared. I saw Will.
Steve Grahowski. Nick.
Yes. Yeah, Steve and Nick were over in St. Augustine. Of course, Joe Coton has come out to a couple of them as well. It's nice to see some of the Jacksonville people who come out to the Jacksonville River City Sevens tournament start to expand their borders a little bit. It was getting very lonely being the only Jacksonville person for a while.
Yeah, you held it down though until they all came around. You and Joe. And we had who? What's the other guy's name? The other Jason.
Jason Carter.
Yeah, he would come to a couple of tournaments.
Well, he's not Jacksonville. I think he's more Orlando, right?
Yeah, I think he's in
Orlando. You're thinking John, I believe. John Hunter.
John Hunter, that's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good event, and you walked away with the championship out of that one. You came in first.
I had a very fortunate day of Blood Bowl, yes.
Yeah, and John cried the whole way home, from what I remember. I could be exaggerating slightly, but I'm pretty sure there were tears.
Oh, that's
Nuffle's a fickle master.
Oh yeah,
I feel so sad then. Eric and I had a ridiculously tight razor's edge last game. We were playing in the final round. It was his Chaos versus my Khemri, and I thought my Khemri couldn't be pushed around because, especially in sevens, you got over half your team's strength 5. But Chaos will not be pushed around is what I learned. They are some tough hombres. But yeah, we were battling it back and forth, and it literally came down to the last turn, the last roll, the last everything, like to do it. And he had to make a few, and it was a really, really good match. So he definitely won it, but it was right on that razor's edge. But he played a good game.
You know what's blown my mind over the last 3 tournaments is Josh and his stunty superiority.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in Hooky Bowl, out of 20 people, comes in with an ogre team, takes 4th overall.
Mm-hmm.
Just kills it with stunty. Took 2nd in St. Augustine. I'm very jealous at how well he plays the stunty teams. He is just killing it right now.
Yeah, it's scary. Plenty points he has in the VOODOO tournament series. Like Mark and I are behind him by I think he has 4 times the amount of points we do. I think he's got to be close to 50 some points, and we're just at the halfway point I think for the year.
I think he might have broken 50 with the St. Augustine result.
Yeah, once I get those numbers in, I got to get two tournaments in, and he played. Did he play stunty? What did he play at the Flex? The Zeech's Flex. I can't remember what he played. Could have been stunned. Yeah, he played halfling. So yeah, I'm sure he's going to have some points there.
Friendly schedule, though. That's one thing I always bring up.
Sure. What was that? Strength of schedule?
We have a very stunty friendly schedule. We play a lot of 7s and Street Brawl and the variant formats, and those work better for stunty teams. They make them more. Yeah, in 11s, it's a straight. I agree, but there's a lot of 7s and stuff like that helps out stunties in general. Because I think if you look at all of our stunty teams, not just his, they perform better than average, probably because of the amount of 7s and everything that get played in the state. So not just him, not singling him out. I'm saying all stunty teams that we have. We have a stunty friendly area. We got Stunty Slam coming up.
Yes, I can't wait for Stunty Slam. And on that note, really quick, I just want to thank everybody who. So I'm running this event as a free event, and I have to say that I think I got into Blood Bowl about 10 years ago. No, more than 10. I don't know, 12 years ago. Took a 8-year hiatus. And then I came back into Blood Bowl. And when I did, I started developing some really good relationships with a lot of different people and companies over those years. And, I'm happy to say that when I reach out to people, I let them know that I'm running a free tournament. So there's no budget for this. Nobody's paying anything for it. And I can't believe how much support that I got for the event. But there were some things that were still going to have to be paid for. And I had no problems paying for that out of my pocket because it's an event that I want to run. I would like to see an all stunty event. And it's going to be NAS, so there may be 1 or 2 non-stunty teams, but whatever. I still want to look around and see all these stunty teams all playing in a tournament. I think that's going to be really cool. So I guess everybody, just started talking, and we're like, well, we're going to throw in some money. And I got an anonymous PayPal donation from Ryan from, people out in the Blood Bowl community. So for those of you who, threw in some money to help pay for some of the stuff for that tournament, I just want you to know it's really appreciated. And it just goes to show you, the type of, I don't know, you don't have to ask, people just kind of notice and appreciate and just, do things. And it's awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you. And money was put to good use.
I will say for the group of the people who donated, you're welcome. And Florida Blood Bowl would not be what it is without you. So, when we see you stepping up to do so much, we have a tendency to want to help out, and be appreciative. So that was kind of a thank you gesture from a large chunk of the community.
Well, just to kind of, indicate, so I didn't buy an island, out in the South Pacific with hula girls and coconuts as much as I wanted. I really felt the pull to do that, but I thought, I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to put that money towards something Blood Bowl related, which is what it was intended for. So there were some painting companies who wanted to that I reached out to, and they said that they would donate their time in painting. And DOA Painting Company is one. The Lone Paintbrush is another. Midwest Miniature Guy, I think, is another one. So the money went towards purchasing miniatures for them to paint and to cover the shipping, to send stuff out to them or have it shipped back. So everything except for like the best painted trophy, which obviously those things are prizes, and the overall tournament champion. And I think I'm going to do a few certificates for like most touchdowns and the normal stuff. But all the prizes and everything we get is all going to be randomly given away to people who are playing in the tournament. So everybody, aside from the swag that they get from coming to a normal tournament, the majority of the people are going to walk away with something, given to them at random. Door prizes, first touchdown, first catch, that kind of stuff. So, and that came about from a conversation we all had that night we went out to dinner. We were talking about doing, a free Blood Bowl tournament. And I think at some point, maybe in 2019, that was the other thing, Ramsey, I wanted to talk about. But before I get there, I'd like to see us do like what Jamie does up in Pennsylvania and Nate does for his Blood Bowl area, like with the ACCC, is do a benefit tournament for a charity. I think that's the next step where I would like to go as a tournament organizer. And with the community that we have, I know I don't have to do that alone. I know that I have such a great crew of people that I can just say, hey, this is something I think would be cool to do. And I know so many people are going to step up and be like, that's awesome. Let's do it. I'll help in any way I can. Let's do this. So I'm, very fortunate. And here I was moving from Pennsylvania to Florida thinking, man, I'm going to come down there. No one's going to want to have anything to do with Blood Bowl, and I'm going to be in my own private hell. So I'm glad I was wrong.
Well, it is, a hell in its own way, but not in a Blood Bowl way.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to mention was to talk to Ramsey about. So we started talking. I think it was a conversation that you and I had, and I ended up reaching out to Jim Lanier, Old Man Monkey, and he was very eager, very happy to resurrect the Three Kingdoms Challenge, because Patrick Wynn, you have talked about that for as long as I've known the two of you guys, and I would love, I once we started talking about it, it was like, well, that was like the biggest Blood Bowl event in Florida at the time, and it would be so awesome now with the renaissance that Blood Bowl is enjoying with all the new people since the board game and the online version and all this stuff, to bring that tournament back to Florida and have it be one of the biggest events of the year, specifically 2019. So we were talking about warming Jim up, because it's been a while since he's run a tournament. So we're going to do an event in Tampa in November called like the Road to Three Kingdoms. And whoever wins that event will get a free pass into the tournament. And then
that's cool.
Yeah, we're going to do it in 2019. We're going to bring that tournament back and push for a lot of the people to come down and play in Florida again.
Yeah, I mean, so I went to the TKC. I think it was the second or third version of the event. My wife was pregnant, and my kids turned 13 next month. So that tells you how long ago that was. But I mean, we had guys coming down from Oregon. There was a couple of guys flew over from France. I was living in Holland at the time, so I flew over from Amsterdam. And Jim was just this, I guess, kind of like fatherly figure. Whenever Jim enters the room, he brings this kind of calm, quiet confidence with him. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I'm always slightly in awe of Jim. I have a kind of a man crush on him, because he's everything I want to be when I'm older, but I'm not older yet. So, he organized this event, and it was just so much fun. And he's such a host. I mean, we went out for dinner every night. He took people fishing at 5 a.m, and we went to spring baseball. I mean, it wasn't just a Blood Bowl event. This was like welcome to Florida for 4 or 5 days, kind of all-encompassing thing. No pressure, Jim, by the way, filling those shoes. But it was a really good kind of experience. And TKC, that was my first international Blood Bowl event. And I performed very badly, but I had a really, really good time. And there was people there. A guy came down from Canada. It was just a lot of different people had flown into Florida for that event, and I think the timing certainly doesn't hurt. If you do anything in Florida in February or March, half of the world wants to be in Florida in February or March. Everyone's tired of shoveling snow, and it's just a great place to be. So anything I can do to help, anything, I'd love to see Jim get involved. As I said, he's kind of like a surrogate dad to me, or maybe I should say a big brother. He's really offended at dad, but anything that I can do, I've already started pimping this up. I've started, texting some of my old Blood Bowl buddies, that I haven't played golf with in 20 years. It's time we got back together. So we need to make this like a really, really big event. I'm thinking we can clear 40, 50 attendees.
I would love that. The most I've ever run for is 28. And I'm dying to break 30 just as a personal thing. But this is the event that I think we're going to do it. And Crucible is going to be a huge Blood Bowl weekend for us, but it's going to be, broken up over 3 days. I think overall it's going to be very successful.
Yep.
But I think the Three Kingdoms Challenge is going to be, you got old school and new school, and I think we're going to get a lot of interest in that. And I know, Jim and I have talked about it, and right now he's got the World Cup over in Germany on his mind. But we're going to start setting up that pre-event for November, I'm thinking, in Tampa. And then we're going to start really, putting something down on paper for 2019.
Yeah, I think
that's
Tampa or awesome idea.
I think it's going to go over really well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just such a good host. And I think you and he together, you're going to absolutely nail this.
Cool. And so Ryan did an event in Tampa, and Jim came out to the event, and he was just so happy and enthusiastic to see that Blood Bowl was alive and well with good people playing it. And he really liked our crew, and he fit in quite well, and he had a good time. We did a lot of talking about it, and then we had him on the AMA, which is even better. And we, listened to him talk for 2+ hours, and yeah, there's a lot of excitement there, and I know he's really looking forward to it. So I'm definitely knowing what you guys know about me so far, if you think I've hit maximum effort, I haven't even begun yet. I'm really gonna, break the mold when it comes to this event for him. So,
yeah, what you would call success is when people want to come into Florida from Europe or Asia or Canada. They're willing to take the 6-hour flight plus to get there. That's an indication that you've checked the boxes.
Yep, and I can honestly, and that's why I enjoy going to Zuckerman's tournaments. I flew from Florida up to New York for his 2 days each tournament. I met Chris Steinbacher up there, and he picked me up at the airport, and I would do that for him. I would fly up to New York to go to one of his tournaments because I know the type of guy he is and how much effort and love he puts into a tournament.
Yep.
Not just a tournament for him. It's, his kids are playing in Blood Bowl with him now in his events, and it's so much more than just, putting on a tournament for a bunch of people. It's so much more than that. Yeah,
completely agree.
Awesome. Yeah, that was the thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the Three Kingdoms Challenge. And
I don't know where it went, in the sense that, for 3 or 4 years it was a main event, and then I know Jim had some health problems in his 50s. I'm delighted that he overcame them, and he's now back and as feisty as ever. But to get the TKC back on the Blood Bowl map, Florida, late February, early March, around that time area, is just, it would be fantastic. Literally, you would get guys coming in from all across the US and probably some international attendees as well.
I'm going to shoot for March, and unless Jim feels otherwise, but that's what I'm going for. I think that'll give us enough time to get some really, I have my ideas of how I like to run tournaments, and I listen to everybody's opinion, but there are some things like most tournaments you go to, you want to have a set of dice to walk away with. We started doing posters. We have some other ideas cooking up too, but maybe a custom miniature to commemorate it, or I don't know. There's so many things, or even a pint glass would be cool. But yeah, there'll be some stuff. Let's put it that. I don't think I can't help.
A pint glass filled with beer, because that's definitely cooler.
I'll pour the beer. Yeah, it'll be good. It's going to be a good event. I'm looking forward to it.
He showed up at my tournament that I ran in Tampa here, and We just knew this guy was coming, that, he was a very seasoned NAF person. And he showed up. I couldn't have been friendlier. Never had met him before, but he couldn't have been nicer. Immediately, he was like, "Hey, by the way, this is the first World Cup. It's the pitch. It's brand new. It was sealed and everything." He's like, "If you want it, you can give it away to someone." I'm like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." So we held a raffle for it to raise money for the VOODOO series and stuff like that. And that by far drew people were like, "Oh, I can get that." Huge amount of people flocked in just to get that. So we raised a good chunk of change for that raffle. Jim, I think you won that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Because you're a raffle master. You win every raffle.
No, I don't.
You're a raffle ringer.
It's a fix.
I won't say that. I'll be like, Jim wants to do a raffle. Oh, okay, just give Jim the prize. No, it ain't like that. But it was like, I think I Jedi willed it to happen. Like when you were pulling the tickets, I'm like, I want that so bad.
But when Jim walked in the room, did it not feel as if you were in the presence of Messiah?
Obviously,
I'm not a religious man, but I will say I felt touched.
Well, nor am I. Well, obviously, that's Jim's a toucher. But I don't know. There's in his presence, there's a sense of well-being that washes over me.
You're in good hands because he's done it. He's been there.
He's just the nicest guy I know. I think he's just so warm, so open, and that's what made TKC so successful. Was that you weren't just attending a Blood Bowl tournament. Anyone can throw a Blood Bowl tournament, and anyone can show up to a Blood Bowl tournament. This was more than that. This was personal. This was almost like a family thing. It was almost like you were being inducted into the mafia or something. There was this sensation of belonging.
Well, what was I going to say about Jim?
Well, hold on. Here, let me give you a good story there, Ramsey. I don't know if you've heard this one. So he's playing in our tournament, and we have 3 or 4. I don't want to tell you, 4 or 5, we'll say, top guys who are really doing well in our VOODOO series. They're guys that everyone, generally they're the guys that are placing in the top 3 or 4 every tournament. One of their top guys is John. He's down in Jupiter area, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
and John was playing his Lizardmen. He was playing it was a big 1,400 tournament that I ran. He was playing a killer team. Like, he just wanted to murder things. And he was playing Jim, and Jim was playing Skaven. And what is it? It was the second half, and Jim only had 4 players on the pitch, but was still up 2-1. And he's like, I don't know how he's preventing me from winning. He's only got 4 guys on the pitch. And it was the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, yeah, he's probably played a game of Blood Bowl or 2.
Yeah, I think he's been playing it for about 40 years now. He's got street smarts and fixed dice. That helps.
Yeah,
that helps too. So it was pretty amazing just to watch him playing with about 4 guys on and still being very threatening. And now, granted, Skaven can kind of do that, but yeah, it was still fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a good event. I'm glad he came out because everybody got to know him, and we started laying the groundwork for everything that's going to come. So,
yeah, mark my words, Jim. It's going to be huge.
Well, I'm hoping that
I will teach my wife to play Blood Bowl just to make sure it's huge. Okay.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
She's actually not a bad Wood Elf coach, but only under duress.
Well, there's always elf bullshit, so I suffered through some Wood Elf bullshit on Sunday in St. Augustine, I can tell you. I was and I don't overly curse while I'm playing Blood Bowl, but I was by the end of that match. I was dropping F-bombs like it was crazy.
Man, elves just get some unfair opinions around here, huh?
It's the pointy ears.
There's some socially acceptable things in Blood Bowl I've found. It's perfectly okay to hate elves, and it's perfectly okay to hate dwarves. Apparently that's just universally. You really can't hate any of the other teams, but most people are okay with you hating elves because of elf bullshit, and most people are just like, dwarves are dumb. can't play dwarf. Or people who play dwarves are dumb, and those are just seem to be the universal opinions, except by the people who play them. The people who play elves are like, I love elves and they're great, and the people who play dwarves usually are very adamant about how good dwarves are.
Looking through the chat, Liam Hurling just threw out there. He said a Florida Man Blood Bowl mini. That would actually be pretty funny if Chris wins Voodoo. I would do that. I would make a Florida Man, all because of that one picture.
Do I want to know what a Florida Man looks like?
I didn't know anything about Florida Man until I moved down here, and then my friend's like, "You're gonna be hearing about Florida Man." I'm like, "What the hell's that?" So it was really a thing. Like we're in the news, like Florida Man mates with crocodile, Florida Man robs meth lab. I don't know, all these crazy shit things about Florida Man. Like
it really became part of the pop culture lexicon. Like it's gone on forever, ever since I was young. I was born and raised here, but it really became like a thing when that zombie attack happened in Miami.
Oh yeah,
that's when
the bath salts.
Oh,
when Florida Man eats another man's face, that's when it became like a much more of a national thing. Like, and people kind of got it.
So it's like a Sasquatch, but one that votes Republican, right?
Yes.
Well, it's just anytime you hear something ridiculously dumb that sounds made up, usually you can put Florida Man in front of it and it's real. Like, man gets caught molesting badger. Like, it would be Florida Man gets caught molesting badger. Like something like that. Like, man jumps lawnmower from boat to car. Florida Man jumps, lawnmower from boat to car.
That would be a great game to play right there. Find some weird, wacky headlines and just take a vote. Florida or not Florida. And I bet you get about 50-50 odds on that.
Yeah. The last Hookie Bowl, Magnus came. All of his players of his team were named after Florida Man stories. So,
well, Chris, so we did a tournament series, like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month for Blood Bowl 7s. And Chris won 2 out of the 3, and then he won overall. So he ended up with 3 trophies. So I had the trophies made, and I brought them to another tournament. And it was a long day. And I want to say Chris was wearing like red, white, and blue, like American headband and T-shirt. So he took a picture. I took a picture of him making this face by the. I'll have to post this on the AMA link as well, of him making this crazy man face by these trophies, and then somebody called him Florida Man, and now it seems to be sticking. So Chris Nelson is Florida Man as far as Blood Bowl in Florida goes. I'm gonna have to start like dropping like subtle hints into the Chaos Cup chat and on Facebook. Be like, do you guys know Florida Man's coming to your event?
Florida Man is coming. Like, it's going to be Florida Men are coming.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know if we're going to get Steven on here tonight. We got about an hour or so left in the AMA before everybody turns into pumpkins, and I haven't heard a peep out of him yet. So
I don't have an hour left in me, Jim. Just to be clear, I have about 2 minutes left before I get shouted at.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We appreciate you coming on here and spending some time with us.
I appreciate the chit chat. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you in July when you come down to our Stunty Slam event.
Yeah, I'll swing by. I look forward to it. I haven't met Kai. He and I go back, a number of years. We played a bunch of games. It's always nice to put a face to a name, right?
It is, and it's a small world. Like, you never know who knows who, or, I don't even know how you came up, but, we're talking about something, and he's like, I know Ramsey. So it is. It's a small world. It's a small
I think that's the nice thing about Blood Bowl is that it's a small, but it's a very inclusive group.
Yeah.
And you're always wanting to welcome others to the group and meet new people. And I think Cyanide, although I was kind of reticent about online Blood Bowl when it first came out, I think it really did a lot to broaden the appeal of a quote unquote board game and to bring new people to the table. And to offer tabletop gamers a different means of playing their game. I'll be honest and say, once you've played Cyanide, the idea of having to set your models up every few seconds is a pain in the ass. So, it'll be nice to meet Kai and put a face to a name and just press a few palms.
Awesome. Can't wait looking forward to July. I'm happy you're coming down.
I may even buy you an adult beverage.
Oh, promises, promises.
Just the one though.
Just one.
On that note, gentlemen, I will thank you for your time, and I will duck out and go and get more alcohol.
All right. Thanks a lot for coming.
Talk to you next time. Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
All right. So let's talk about some Florida Blood Bowl. I don't know. I know we don't have the VOODOO tournament standings updated because I still have to get in the NAF events from the week.
How did D20 Bowl go? I chatted with you briefly, via text on it. But for those of us that weren't there, the store, what's the deal? Because it's a new location for us.
Yeah, it is. Jason, you want to fill Ryan and anyone listening in?
Sure. Yeah, I've actually probably driven by this place a number of times. I had no idea this was a game store, but it's very small. Most of the gaming tables were upstairs. You crammed about 10 of us up there. You could have gotten 12. It's weird. It's just a weird store, but it was very interesting and it was fun to be at. But you walk in, you think there's absolutely no way you can run a tournament here. It worked. You could probably have pulled off a tournament of 20 people. And it was a very interesting store.
Okay. Cool.
I think it used to be a gas station. Had to go to the bathrooms outside, so you have to leave the store. You have to have a key to go into the bathroom. But
okay,
it was pretty interesting.
But and the owner, good, worked with y'all in a positive manner.
Yeah, he was great. Had some great prizes. Even did a raffle at the end for anybody who didn't win one of the main prizes at the tournament. Just raffling off a few extra things. Now, he was excellent to have there. He gave us all popcorn because he has a popcorn machine there. It was very enjoyable.
Oh, good. It's always good to have another new location, and another area where we can spawn more people. Oh, did I lose everybody? Hello?
Nope, still there.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
It was definitely a really good time. I think he's looking to run a few more. Hopefully it can grow the scene in the St. Augustine area, which is good. Jacksonville League's actually going to be starting up their league play in the next month, and St. Augustine kind of lumps in with Jacksonville, so it's going to kind of be a big league there for the northeast section of Florida. Hopefully it'll get a few new people into the league, and maybe we can have a pretty decent-sized league, kind of like what Melbourne's doing. I think they had about 18 or 20 their last league.
One of the things I've always dreamed about for the Tampa area that you could try there if you get enough is always wanted to do, because Tampa is, on the inside of the bay, but also on the outside of the bay is St. Petersburg. And there's big gaming groups in both areas. I would love to do a league in both, but then have kind of like a tournament, kind of like to a Super Bowl. I always thought that would be really neat. So you could have like a Jacksonville league and a St. Augustine league, and have like a champion of super champion.
Yeah, I think if we get enough people, that would be a great idea. And I like that idea with St. Petersburg and Tampa. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love to do that. The player base right now is difficult. So we're working on it.
I tried to do that down in Melbourne, and I bit off more than I can chew. So at the time, we had the GIFO Get Your Fun On Blood Bowl League going, and I thought, well, there's two other stores, and they're both interested in Blood Bowl, one being Dogs of War, and the other one being Strange Way Games over Beachside. And I was talking to the store owners of both, and it just never quite happened. Like, we had our league. Dogs is kind of like they're more like a club, and they're a great bunch of guys. Two of the guys come out, Mike Tremarsh and Ed Clofer, if I'm pronouncing their last names correctly. They come out to our events, and they're really great. And I've talked to some of the other guys in their chat, like helping them with their OBBLM and stuff like that. And they have a great crew down there, but they kind of like to stay in their club area. They don't really tend to come out to tournaments. They don't really tend to, just Mike and Ed. So I could never really make that happen. And then Blood Bowl never really picked up at Strange Ways. They kind of, have a bunch of games up there, 40K being the biggest, and Magic probably, but Blood Bowl never really took off. There was some interest. But yeah, I had thought the same thing. I thought, boy, it would be really cool to get a league going in each of these stores, and then having some inter-league play between the stores. But believe it or not, I mean, there's a lot of like loyalty, with some of the coaches where they want to play at their store, and they don't really want to go out to other stores and play. So, maybe, who knows? Maybe down the road in Melbourne that'll work. But if it works in Jacksonville, then we would have like a frame of reference to be like, hey, look what they're doing up there, and everybody loves it, and it's great. I'd love to try that down here. So you never know.
Yeah, I thought about it before, like about the whole like traveling for people having to go to a different store for a game, and I always thought just the easiest way to do it would be agree upon at the beginning of the season. Certain factors that will determine ranking, and then whoever's got the highest rank that you play at their store.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good ways you could spin it.
Yeah, or you can play at whatever store that the person with the highest rank agrees on. If they go, I'll play at your store, then boom, done. But I think that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate up here in Jacksonville. We have a decent amount of stores that we can go to. And usually we can find one that, hey, yeah, that one will be open. Let's all just go there. Or even sometimes we play at each other's house. I know when my son was born about 3 years ago, I flat out told the league, look, guys, I want to play, but you're going to have to come to me. I mean, kid's a month old. I'm going to be at home. And the league was very accommodating. They all came over. I played all my matches at my house. We have a pretty solid group up here in Jacksonville. And it looks like we're going to get a decent amount of solid players as well that are just jumping in now, being in the league for the first time. I'm looking forward to the league this year. I love the tournaments, but I also love playing in some league stuff as well. So it's going to be exciting.
It is a different feel, tournaments versus leagues. Like you get so much more invested in your league team because you've been with them a while. Like I've been with you guys for a couple weeks or a couple months, even a couple seasons, depending on how you run it. And like you're my boys, and that's a good feeling, I think.
Yeah, those are the worst when you get those star players that die. I had one that got up to like 95 star player points. Unfortunately, he didn't die on me, but I think every team in the league basically put a bounty on his head of that guy needs to die. Somebody needs to kill him. Stop letting the elf leap over my line.
That is a perfect transition. Speaking of, since the last AMA, there is now a new Facebook Florida Blood Bowl bounties page. Which I forgot how that got started, but Josh. It's awesome. Yeah, but it's awesome as heck. People putting bounties out on other people's heads to beat them. I think that is something good. Well, here, let's go to Jason. As someone who has a bounty on their head, is it good, bad, or indifferent? See, it's easy for me to say because no one cares because they're not threatened by me. So.
Well, the bounty was exciting until I think James cashed in on it game 1 of the May River City Sevens. It was like, well, yeah. that was a pretty short-lived bounty for me right there.
I got the first bounty, but I didn't collect yet because by the time we got to the restaurant, I already got my adult beverage, and Eric's like, I'll get you. I'm like, I already got it. He's like, I'll get you next time. So I've yet to I earned it, but I've yet to collect on it, but I will.
Yeah, speaking of which, I think Eric actually owes me one because John had one on his head, and I got him in round 4 of Hookie Bowl.
Oh, it looks like Eric's going to be dishing out some adult beverages left and right.
That's right. Just wait till November. We'll be drinking and play.
Oh boy. That's going to be an event.
Contract.
So when I was talking to Clay about that event, he's like, I have an idea for running an event at a brewery. And I'm like, oh, it's finally here. It's going to happen. And he's like, I don't know if it's going to go over well. I'm like, oh, it's going to go over well. Don't worry.
I haven't seen people excited about an event. I don't know. I haven't seen them that excited about an event. I think people were kind of excited about my event because it was 1,400 and that was amazing. But I think it's been topped by like brewery, like that right there, pretty much tops everything.
Well, we're gonna play Blood Bowl the UK way, where they drink their pints while they play.
Do they play anywhere but places with beer? Like, all I do is see pictures. Anytime I see something in the UK, there is never a picture of a person without a pint playing Blood Bowl.
Well, while we're talking about pints and Blood Bowl in the UK, now is the perfect segue into telling the community. I'm sure, you've already seen me posting about it. So I managed to bribe, blackmail, and squeak my way into the Two Drunk Flings podcast as the the U.S. drunk fling. So I don't know how I've become the drunk fling because I don't drink so often, but I may have to start living up to my new reputation. But I'm going to be the U.S. equivalent team member for their podcast, and I will be on some upcoming episodes. I'll be covering the Stunty Slam event as they are the main sponsor for the event. So there will be some awesome swag and prizes from them. But Alan and Liam are great guys. I've been talking to them over the last couple of weeks, and it's a great partnership, and I'm very excited to be, working with them, and they seem to be happy to have me tag along. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it all goes, but I'm very excited about the whole thing. They're a great bunch, and their podcast is amazing. My favorite podcast up until this point had been the Siggy Llama Show, and if you haven't listened to it, I mean, there's so many Blood Bowl podcasts out there. There's Skulls and Ones. There's Double Skulls. There's Both Down. And there's
Anything
But a One. And then there's the big one that Chance and Drew do. What's the big one? I can't even think of what it is.
Block.
What's that?
3-die block.
3-die block, right. And they all have their own shtick. I mean, if you like the hardcore, gaming mechanical side of it, I think 3-die block might be for you. If you like a little bit of the mechanic, but some of the fluff and the fun, Both Down might be good for you. But the Siggy Llama podcast, for those who've never listened, is a Blood Bowl variety show. And if you're wondering what that means exactly, you have to go listen and check it out. But it's more than just, talking statistics or mechanics, and it's a lot of fun. My favorite portion of two actually he had. So Jeremy Morse is the guy behind Siggy Llama, and he hasn't done one in quite a while. And he's out in, I want to say where is he at? Michigan. And he's in a Blood Bowl league out there and goes to a lot of events and has gone to Chaos Cup. And I hope to finally meet. He's one of those guys where I want to meet and, buy a beer. So two things that he had on his podcast, which were always amazing to me. One, he had a paint cast. So he would just sit there and play music. Now, music to me is like life. It's like, my life. It's like lifeblood. Without music, I think I would just shrivel up and die. So he would do a paint cast where he would just be sitting there painting a team for an upcoming tournament, but he'd be talking just about whatever, Blood Bowl related stuff, mostly. But he would have music on in the background, and it was music like what I would equate to like a college radio type stuff, not mainstream music that you would be familiar with, but it's stuff that you'd be glad you heard and be like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Non-radio 90s.
Yes, and it was really good stuff. And he actually had those paint casts out there for a while, and he had to take them down because of copyright. Somehow, some way, I don't know if something, negative happened and somebody complained, and you would think that, these people would be happy you're getting them exposure to a whole other, audience. But he ended up having to take those paint casts down. I wish I had them. I wish I downloaded them, but they were great. And the other thing that he did is he would do skits. One of the skits, when we came back from, I think it was Hookie Bowl, I made everyone in the car listen to. It was a skit of a parody of All in the Family called All in the Shambly about instead of Archie Bunker, it was R3 for Ramtut the Third.
I remember.
Oh my God, the comedy, the beats, the timing, the production with the laugh track, like everything was so spot on and hilarious. Like it just, Meathead and Archie and Edith and it was just so nostalgic and so well done. I just want more. So up until, the Two Drunk Flings, that was my favorite podcast. And, I love the humor that they have on the podcast. And if you people out there haven't listened to it, go and give it a listen to, because you will be glad you did. You'll appreciate it very much. It's great stuff. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. I couldn't believe I had not listened to it before I did. And I've never cracked up at a Blood Bowl podcast for the most part. But yeah, I was laughing pretty hard at this. When he started talking about long bombing it to the Minotaur,
oh yeah,
I was dying.
It's good stuff. But there were a lot of podcasts out there, and I like the humor in a lot of what I listen to. like listening to Doombeer Dave talk about his.
Oh, I'm sorry, that did crack me up too.
His soul music, his jams, his slow jams. Oh my god! And Nate Ball interviewing his coworkers, the females, and explaining to them what Blood Bowl is all about for the first time, like that. Like there are just some pieces out there that are just so darn funny, and just like, why didn't I think of that? Like that is just so well done and so well executed. I love it, and there's so much to get out of all the different podcasts. But yeah, I'm excited about being a part of this one. So hopefully that'll go on for quite a while. In addition to doing the AMA, I love doing these. These are great, especially because they're live.
So
Josh is like, I really like the Lord Borak podcast.
yeah,
I got to get Tom to do another one of those. We did some commercials too, and the commercials were funny, like Camry brand condoms. Put one on your bone and make her moan. Man, there were the Nurgle energy drink was a good one. I'll have to post those on the.
yeah, I put that in.
Yeah, we need some links now.
Oh, they're so funny.
I put that in my street ball tournament.
Yeah, we were going to do a soundtrack for your event.
No, for Street Brawl. This was a year ago. I did.
Oh, in the rules, yeah.
Yeah, I put Nurgle energy drink in as the number 8 because I heard that and I was like, oh, come on, too good.
That was perfect. Yeah, Tom had some other good ideas too, but I got to get him out of Blood Bowl retirement. So ever since like the league up there kind of did what it did, Tom hasn't really been in a Blood Bowl mood. And I wish he was down here in Florida because he would just love being a part of this community. So I got to get him out of the funk. The Valentine's Day one was just epic. I would love to do something like that again. Who knows? And in this day, you never know. Like we might do another one. And now that Lord Borak's back with GW and they're using the character again, we might do something, with some F-bombs in it and all of a sudden get a cease and desist letter from GW, which I would proudly print out and frame on my wall.
Yeah.
Cross that off my bucket list. Piss off GW and get a nasty gram and a warning.
This is the new GW.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I haven't heard anything about like other than when they started running the Bugman events that don't bring in non-GW miniatures to our events. That was the only thing that I was kind of like, yeah, it's super douchey and I get it, but at the same time, it's like you're one of the biggest miniature manufacturers. I mean, is it really gonna? I don't know. To me, if I was them, it wouldn't bother me at all. If somebody brought in Impact miniatures, I wouldn't care less. I would just be happy that they were attending my event and buying my stuff and, you know what I mean? Playing the game and spending money. I don't know. Whatever.
I get their point. I get it. I'm thinking they're in it to make money, which is okay. They have been a little more friendly. So I dig it. They're trying to do stuff with fans. I'm pro what they're doing because there was a lot of years where I had a very, like our previous guest Ramsey's, like I really did not like GW. I thought they were the devil. But they've turned me around lately. I'm not going to say that they're the best company in the world, but they're rounding a corner at least.
Well, they're making people happy. They're giving them what they want. They're putting out new stuff. And for however long, that's all that people wanted. And that niche was being filled with all the other companies that started springing up and filling that void. And I know I've said this probably until I'm blue in the face, but in my opinion, it was, the last World Cup in Lucca, Italy, that was the beginning of the turning around point where, you have 900, I think it was roughly 900 coaches show up from around the world in Italy to play Blood Bowl. And I think somebody, at GW was like, well, there's more money to milk out of this cow. Let's do it. And that's all the people wanted was just more stuff. And I'll admit, the quality of the stuff, I think by comparison to some of the other vendors out there, I think GW definitely upped their game. I mean, you get people complain about one or two, like I'm not a fan of the new Rat Ogre. I know some people were complaining about the Chaos Warriors out of the new Chaos box set, but over and all, I think that the quality of the stuff has definitely gone up several notches, and I'm glad they're doing everything in the resin. I like the resin or the plastic over the metals. That's just me personally. I know some people like the metals, but I was on that same train. I was on that same GW, but they're giving the people what they want. So,
well, from a design perspective, you can say I don't like the Chaos Warriors, or from a design perspective, you can say I don't like the Rat Ogre. But from a quality perspective, you can't say that they're bad miniatures. Like they're sculpted well.
Oh yeah,
they're put together well. Like from a sculpture point of view, they're quality. You might disagree with the design choices. That's an artistic, an aesthetic objection, which is you can't argue aesthetics all that much. Like it's just subjective. Like, I love the new Dark Elves. I think they're cool as hell. And I know a lot of people hate them. But
yeah, somebody on the chat was like, the new Dark Elf kit is half shite.
Oh, I don't know.
At least they said
who was that? Right. Who was that? I will call them out. They are cool. They are like children's cereal. They're just full of flavor. They are amazing. Like the Cold One skin that they wear and everything like that. I just think, and they're pirates, like they're pirates, and then their board that's coming out that like you flip over and it's got like a freaking kraken that's like eating the board. Well, it's just cool as hell.
The same person who shall remain nameless by the name of Kai, but still nameless, says that the spank paddles are doofy. And then Josh chimes in and says, elves are all shite anyway. full shite. So I guess now's a good time to tell Josh that I'll be running Pro Elves in Season 5 of the Gyfo League. Come at me, bro. Come at me, brogers.
Elves are Dark Elves. They're almost. I'm talking. They're like angry elves. I'm talking. They're okay. They're not all so fast. They don't all
Sky,
have.
not Kai. Sorry, it was Sky who was talking shit. I thought it was Kai. No, it's Sky. My bad. They rhyme, so forgive me for being old and dumb.
Yeah, I think they look great, and I really dig them. If I didn't already have a Dark Elf team, I would definitely be buying them. That's the problem with GW. They keep releasing things once I already this is happening with every miniatures game that I play. Like, I will buy something like an old GW team or something like that, and the minute I buy it, they release a new one. And so it's like, well, shit. I just did that because I'm actually getting into playing old Epic. And so like I immediately bought some old gyrocopters, and immediately this third party company came out with like, we've got, gyrocopters in 6mm that look exactly like it, that are great. They're cheap. The moment that I forked over some money for them. So it keeps happening. But I do have Black Scorpion, their Dark Elf team, which once again, I'm an unabashed Black Scorpion fanboy.
I love their blitzers.
Oh yeah,
on that team, they're awesome.
I love all their miniature, and like I said, before even getting back into Blood Bowl, at least for 3 or 4 years, I was buying their Old West, and I have like a huge collection of their Tombstone line.
I love them. Is there a game system behind them?
So there wasn't. They just did a Kickstarter that did. It's called Tombstone, but I have about maybe 5 to 10 rule sets for Old West, and I have a ton of Old West stuff, and I have a ton of Old West scenery and everything like that. I'm a Old West gaming fanatic. I just don't get to play it all that much, but I have a lot of, especially Games Workshop has a really good system actually. Legends of the Old West is a GW historical game that they made for Western. It's a lot like Necromunda, but for the Old West. So you build a gang. Cool. The gang gains experience. You play little missions and you do things. Yeah. I keep up with buying new system. I just bought another one called Dracula's Fury. I think that's what it's called. But I have a couple books for that. It's really cool. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff like that. I didn't even know. So here for the audiences, I don't know if you'll care, but I did not know. It was like, so one of the weird things that when I talk to people is I don't know people play other games besides Blood Bowl. And I was talking to Jim the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to play D&D." I'm like, "You play D&D?" Like, I play D&D too. Like, oh my god! So you never know all the other games that people play that are out there.
Yeah, I came out of D&D retirement, and that was all by happenstance. And I haven't gotten back around to it. It's been about 3 weeks because I've been so involved with Blood Bowl stuff. But I'm going to get back into it. I left one poor guy stranded, about to fight an orc shaman, and he was wounded. So he's about to go into possibly his final battle. But good times had by all. That just goes to show you like what a critical miss and a critical hit happens that can just totally change the ebb and flow of the game. I miss D&D, but anyway. So yeah, Mark Perry just wanted to shout out that the Spike magazines over to Death Zone are major pluses.
Oh,
so it sounds like, yeah, I like the Spike magazine actually, and I'm looking for. I haven't even read mine's been in my bathroom for reading material since I got it. And I spend so much time in there, but when I get it, I haven't, like, when I get in there, my kids pound on the doors and kick the door and scream and shout for me to come out. So I haven't even read it yet.
It's good. Like, it has articles in it.
It looks good.
On tactics, like everything you would want, like in like this kind of a thing. It has. It's got the Lord Borak, like little comedy bits in it. It's got fluff bits in it that are like interesting. It's got the star players in it. It's got a detailed review of the team. It's got everything you would kind of want in one of these. I'm really looking forward to the next one for the Dark Elves.
Mm-hmm. That should be coming out soon.
Yeah, good.
Chris in the chat said GW tournaments should at least allow non-GW minis for teams that they haven't released yet, and I agree with that. Then Sky said, Ryan, have you ever tried to kit bash the Warhammer 40k witches with Kabbalite warriors for a Dark Elf team?
No, mostly because I'm lazy. I don't kit bash hardly anything. You will rarely see me kit bash things just because it takes a lot of effort, unless it's super easy. The only thing I can say I've kit bashed is I played Shadow War Armageddon, and I decided for the Tal Force, since they have a bunch of different aliens, I wanted to make 2 different aliens. So I did a head swap, which I literally just didn't put the head on, and I had a head for another alien that I put on it. And then I did a human, and I just glued on like World War II German head, and I put him in like I cut his body in half and put him on, the lower half of him. It was him in like boots instead of hooves. So that's about the only kit bashing I will do. Otherwise, it takes I don't have enough time to paint, let alone to kit bash. And usually kit bashing costs a lot of money because I end up having to buy like a lot. Like you have to buy like 2 things to make one thing. And that ends up being more expensive. So limited budget, limited time. Like I wish I had time to do it, but yeah, generally no.
Mark Perry brings up a good point, just to, not to get back on the GW gang banging here, but he said GW released tons of recast or made to order to cover tons of teams, and then they did the Dark Elves, and then bang, they show the new Dark Elves, and he said that kind of blows. Which I agree. It's like, all right, we know we have this stuff in the pipeline, but let's see how much money we can get out of the old metals one last time before we release all the new plastic stuff. So yeah, I get that.
Well, I'm talking they didn't have to release it. I don't want to be a GW apologist. I would say that you can, like, granted, I just said I would never do it, but there's no team that you can't hit bash a GW team to go play in one of their tournaments if you wanted to. And also, you can use any GW miniature ever at a GW tournament. So if you want, you can get... I've often wondered, can you get the paper miniatures, like from the original Blood Bowl, and use those, like the original paper guys?
I think so, but the price points are €99, or no, 99 British pounds.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you can use old 3rd edition miniatures. You can use 2nd edition. You can kit bash if you wanted to. Anything to do. So there's stuff out there for GW, and like I said, I get their thing. second. It's their tournament. They should probably make. It's just like when we go to a tournament at a game store. I try to buy something from the game store just to give them a little something, because they let me use the place. Kind of the same thing with GW. Like their tournaments are usually free, so usually, and they're giving stuff away. So the price for entry is have a GW team.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can, Chris, they're having like a little chat in the chat about what can you use as far as GW miniatures go. You can use anything in their line, like you just said, any for Blood Bowl, for conversions. Because I remember before they started, after the box set came out and before all the new teams started coming out, when they were running the Bugmans, they were doing posts of kit bashed teams for humans and orcs and some of the other stuff, the dwarves especially. And, they were made up of all the different GW lines, and they were great. I mean, the people who did the kit bashing, damn, they're quite amazing. But yeah, you're right. It's time, it's money. It's you really got to be good at it or love doing it in order to get maximum effect.
Yeah, before GW released the troll, I bought the Lord of the Rings troll that they had, and that's what I use for my troll. I have two of them, like orc teams. So there's other miniatures you can use out there for different. Yeah, the GW's kind of released. Someone posted the other day, like, what would you use for a bloodthirster for Blood Bowl? What do you guys use? And I posted my old Hero Quest gargoyle model.
That was beautiful, by the way. Love that game.
Yeah, and that's a GW game. You can use that miniature. That's Games Workshop.
I played that game. That was an awesome game.
So I still have my my GW. I still have some Hero Quest models. So I definitely have all four of the Chaos Warriors and the Sorcerer and the Gargoyle.
I would absolutely make a Chaos team out of those figures right there.
If I didn't own a Chaos team already, then once again, Black Scorpion. But if I didn't already own one, yeah, I definitely would do that. They're all the old Slambo figures. They're like the original Slambo, I think. So they're, that would be it. Yeah, I managed to Black Scorpion my Chaos team as well because they're amazing and I love them. And they give you candy.
I don't know what Mark is referring to, but it sounds like a funny story. So he said apparently he has a racist pygmy from GW that he uses as a goblin. I would love to see a picture of this. So he uses a goblin team at a GW only event and was asked to never bring that back to the game again.
Wow.
So it must really be racist. A racist pygmy from GW. I almost gotta Google that. Actually, right now I'm gonna Google that.
Would you please put that in the chat or in the?
If Mark doesn't send me a picture, I will definitely post it in there. Racist. I'm gonna do racist pygmy.
You guys,
I'm at work. I'm afraid of what I might get.
Everybody comes on here for the great discussions. Everybody comes back for the pictures of the racist pygmy.
I don't know. There's a couple of pictures, but I don't know which one. But they all look pretty bad. He's going to send me images. All right, I'll wait for those.
So, yeah, some of GW's old models are a little, yeah.
Well, Josh brings up something that I can sit here and talk about for the next hour. Is he loves Bones Trolls. I love Bones, Reaper Bones. I mean, talk about such versatile models, such easy to work with models, easy to paint models. I mean, Reaper went from. I mean, I remember buying Reaper miniatures when I played D&D, and we bought the Reaper and Ralpartha and all that stuff. And I mean, Bones is just like actually, and they're one of the companies that I reached out to for support for Stunty Slam. Back in Pennsylvania, they supported one of our tournaments, and I know a couple of other people whose tournaments they've supported, and they do a lot. They have their own events that they do, ReaperCon and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if I don't hear back or get a no, but I at least tried, because to get a nice little box of Reaper Bones would be a pleasant surprise, because you could do so much with them.
Yeah, I just bought. Well, no, not just. I have my Minotaur is for Reaper Bones. the one that I use for my Chaos Dwarf team, and I will use it for my Chaos team if it ever comes around. And then I have a Norse team that are all Valkyries. They're Black Scorpion Valkyries, but I needed a Yeti. But I didn't want a Yeti, so I have a giant female frost giant.
Yes, I love that model.
Yeah, so she's a big female frost giant that I use for my Valkyrie team because she fits in pretty well. And then what else? I know I've got a couple. Oh, and I just bought something that I'm talking. If they didn't make it to be a Rat Ogre, I don't know what it is. It's not. I have a Rat Ogre already, but he's going to be used for another project that I'm doing for another game. But yeah,
I have the same one. It's the one with he's tall and his claws are his arms are stretched forward.
Yeah. Yep.
That's an awesome looking model. I have that one. But my Camry that I played at D20 Bowl are all bones. And Nick Phillips has been using those in our Gyfo League. He used them last season. He's using them next season. But all those miniatures are, don't get me wrong. I bought the Camry when it first came out, and in GW, and I hated that team because it was there was so much building of that team and gluing. It was disgusting. I hated it. But they look great when they were all done, and yours look amazing too. Are they Tomb Kings or are they Camry?
I'm talking. Are they one and the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Gaspez. But I went on their site the other day because I was actually considering just buying.
Those are Gaspez, your team? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I was considering buying a couple extra models for them for another project I'm doing. They're not there anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, they took it down. So I don't know. Maybe I was one of the last people to get them because I haven't had them too long. I've had them maybe 6 months. And I guess maybe they took them down.
Oh, these are racist. Oh, boy, I'm posting them now. Wow. Whew.
Let it be said that the Florida AMA does not take any stance as far as these miniatures. These are just here for reference sake. Yep. We condone racism in all of its forms, including miniatures.
Pygmyism. We're
open people. But we're putting this in for reference sake.
How do you spell pygmy? I forget. P-Y-G-M-Y?
Yeah.
Racist pygmy GW figures. Oh, boy. Well, let's get those up on there.
Yeah, someone actually posted, too, on the forum that they were looking for how people painted their Morgenthorg figure, what skin color.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's a black one.
Well, no. And what is it? And I knew they were talking about the new Morgenthorg figure, but yeah, I went ahead and posted my 3rd edition Morgenthorg. I'm like, there he is. That's always going to be Morgenthorg to me. I was like, the only thing you have to get, it doesn't matter. He's got to have stubble. Because every Morgenthorg has stubble.
Yeah, you know what Morgenthorg gets for Christmas? Stubble bomb.
Stubble bomb.
Man, it still cracks me up. Walking through the mall at Millennia, and I turned my head, and there's not a salon, but a store that sells hair products and stuff, and there's this big poster for a product called Stubble Balm. Got to make sure that your stubble's soft and grows right. Give it some Stubble Balm.
But he's got to have it. He's the ballista. So, oh, never mind. It hasn't been approved yet. So I was going to say, because I saw him that he posted that Ancient City Barrel Bash. And I saw that he posted something about Rules Pack, and I'm like, oh yeah, he posted that. It's coming. It's not out.
Yeah, he submitted it for NAF approval today. I looked at it yesterday, and everything looked great. So I don't think there'll be any major hiccups. So, speaking of NAF approval, and me not one being shy to talk about anything, so let's talk about the Diabolical Pitch Sanguinator.
Okay.
So Jason Carter, otherwise known as Voorhees Carnivian, is running a tournament in August that's been on the schedule for a while. And it did not end up getting NAF approved. And this is partly because there's a lot going on in the tournament, and they wanted to kind of rein things in a little bit and make some concessions. And from Jason's point of view, he wanted to keep his tournament as close to his original concept as possible. So despite my best efforts to kind of, I looked at the rules and I found one thing that I just thought mechanically was not exactly the easiest thing, or to me it didn't make sense, and I thought it should be changed. And Jason stuck to his guns, and he wanted to keep it exactly how he wrote it. So that tournament is not going to get NAF sanctioned, so which means it is not going to qualify for VOODOO tournament points. That's the downside. The positive side is that the tournament is a free tournament, and it is also going to be we talked before about doing a fundraising event for a good cause, and it slipped my mind then, but I'm realizing it now that Jason is actually the first tournament organizer to do an event for a cause. So let me look it up really quick. What his what the donations are going to, like whatever prizes and swag that he had for the event, he's raffling off and getting money raised for this event. I just want to remember what it is so I can talk about it on here. But also, for people who were not aware or didn't see his posts, now they could, if you're listening, you can kind of get an update on what's going on with that tournament event. But it's in my back. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm of two minds on it. Like, I'm really torn because I normally have a very like punk rock, damn the man, like fight the system kind of attitude. But it does. There's also part of me that's a pragmatist. Because it almost seems like the NAF, to me, once again, not speaking for anyone, I don't know anything. It just seems like from the situation, from what I've seen, that the NAF is basically saying, like, we want you to make these concessions. And they're letting him get away with a lot, almost so that they can just say that we made you change something. Like we have the authority to make you change something. It reminds me a lot of the Revolutionary War, like, we complained about taxes, so they got rid of all the taxes except tea, and the only reason they left tea is just to prove the point that they could tax us. Not that they really cared about the tea tax, but they just wanted to show that they could do this, like, set a precedent. And that almost seems like what this situation is, that they want to just say, like, we want to tell you that we can change something in your tournament. And there's kind of resistance there, so I'm of two minds on it. So, I see both sides. So I really don't. It's hard for me to weigh in on that one.
Well, I can say that from dealing with Phil, he seems very fair and across the board with all things, and I think he looks at balance, tournament balance, game balance over everything else. And I guess it from his point of view, it was just so overwhelming with all the mechanics in the game. And my thing was, when I looked at it, I'm obviously I'm trying to get it approved as a regional tournament organizer. I'm backing the tournament organizer and trying to get it approved. And, my first thing was, well, if it's this complicated, and I know from making complicated rules myself and playing in a tournament versus not playing, in this situation, there's no way Jason could have played in this event. He would need a ringer, and he was perfectly fine with that. As much as he may have wanted to play in his own concoction, he knew that this tournament was going to require, kind of like Josh's Knuckles Wild. Josh knew that he really couldn't play. He got himself a ringer, didn't need it, and then ended up needing Nick as the ringer to help him run the mechanics of the game. And that went as smooth as a unicorn's bottom. That went as smooth as possible. And it was great, and everybody wants more. And, Jason realized this, and he was okay with it. The only other thing I saw was a game mechanic regarding the kickoff table and the special character, Crazy Charlie. But they had, before I got into IT, I was a graphic designer for years and years and years. And I can tell you that if I designed something with one version, that customer would sit down with me and nitpick the shit out of that thing because they feel like they have to put their thumbprint on it in order to make it their own. But if I designed, like, let's just say 3 different versions of the same thing, they would look at those 3 and pick one and be done with it because they had a choice. So I don't know if it's like that where, they're looking to put their thumbprint on it. Or, I really do believe that Phil is just he's looking at it from the average Blood Bowl player's perspective, where they're walking in and possibly getting overwhelmed by something like this, especially if they're a newbie coach, which, you may get. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know who's going to, by making it NAF, you're opening it up to anybody, even somebody you may not know.
So here's where I'll comment on that. Because I recently had a discussion, we'll say online, with our NAF president, because he went online and basically said that he was going to go play apes at this tournament, and he felt as the NAF president, he was of two minds. Like, he really wanted to play apes. This was the only tournament he could play apes. He had an ape team, but as the NAF president, like, playing in a tournament with a team that's, it's not that it's not sanctioned or whatever you want to call apes. I don't know where they kind of exist in the lexicon. But the people he would be playing against would not get NAF points or ratings. And he was saying that, you know, is that kind of hypocritical? Most people were pretty supportive. I think Scott Prime and I think we're the only two that were kind of disagreeing. And my main point was that this could be someone's first tournament, and we just got them into the NAF, and you're going to be as the president. Let me tell you, your games don't count. And I go, man, that's a tough sell. And his comment was, not every tournament in the NAF should be for new people. So from our president, that should not be a factor in this tournament. If it's someone's first tournament and it's all wacky, well, this tournament isn't for new people, and according to our president, that's okay.
Ooh. Well, I will say that all tournaments aren't for all people, because I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I'm just saying they may not be for all people. But yeah,
and I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying this is what he said.
I can see how that would send kind of a mixed message, and I know that if I was playing, like, and I'm on the road to 24 hardcore, I'm going to have my 24 in July. But if I ended up going to a match and, you know, I get it that it's one thing where it's like, okay, I don't want to join the NAF, but I want to play Blood Bowl for whatever. And there are people out there who don't care for the NAF because they think that they force feed rules down people's throats. So you have NAF haters out there. There's not a lot, but there was even an anti-NAF movement that was trying to gain traction.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
the other
NAF, and I'm glad that kind of went away. But I remember when it came out, I think everybody just kind of like ignored it, not even gave that person, you know, the food for thought, and it ended up going away. But yeah, I would have a hard time going up against somebody and them saying, well, you know what, I'm coming to play apes today because I want to play them, and I'm sorry you won't get any credit for any of your matches. I'd be like, you know, I'm there to play Blood Bowl and to have fun, yes. But at the same vein, I'm also there to get my 24. I'm not worried about statistics. I'm not worried about, you know, is my team going to be over 150? How is this going to affect my team rating? I don't care about that. I would just be like, well, you know, I was hoping to knock a team off, and I'm making, you know, I'm freeing up my schedule to play this Saturday, which is not an easy thing with a family, or I'm going to drive 4 hours to go play in this event. And then I end up getting a match with somebody where if I had played 3 matches, it would be, you know, crossed off my list. But now I'm only getting credit for 2 out of the 3. Now I got to go play in a whole other tournament to get credit for 1 match because somebody didn't want to play something that was NAF approved. I don't know.
Yeah,
I see your point more so than I see the other point, but
my thing was the new people. That's one. And I thought, especially from the president themselves, like that kind of sends a weird message. And I thought that was a little strange. But like I said, they're on the tournament. It's one of the creator of the apes. It was their tournament, and I understand that. But yeah, I'm talking. It's just kind of that sucks. And one of the only thing, to me, the big selling point that we usually sell the NAF on, or at least when we're trying to get new people into it, is they track your stats. Like that, I'm talking, what else does the NAF do beyond tracking stats and approving tournaments? I'm talking, that's pretty much the only things they do. That's what the organization's for.
Tracking stats, approving tournaments, free gift. Trying to think what else. They do plenty. I mean, rules balancing. I know they have a lot of. They held the game together when GW abandoned it. I mean, they've done plenty.
And I'm not saying, but I'm saying as a formal organization, like really what you're paying for. You're paying your $5 or $10 or whatever for a repository for your statistics. That's kind of what, and to know that your tournaments are going to be somewhat on the level. So, but like I said, and I don't think anything went horribly wrong. He reported back after it that he played, 4 games and none of the people cared that he was playing Ape. So good. I'm glad it wasn't an issue. I think that's great. So cool. But yeah, so that goes to but that's the point to go back all the way to where we were. The point is that, his tournament might not be for a new person. The only thing I would say about the rules that I've read is they are very slanted towards certain styles of play. To me, there are certain teams that I would never take to the Sanguinator just because of the way the rule set is. It's obvious to me, at least by looking at them, like these are the teams it favors. These are the teams that are going to perform better. And when you have an obvious team that's going to perform like super better than other teams, or other teams that are just super not as good because
like
of the way that the rules are.
You're not going to take a Camry team in that event because they'll never pick up the ball, because the way the mechanics work is that the more blood goes on the pitch, the harder it gets to pick up the ball, period. So you'll have teams that cannot pick up the ball, and Elves will have a clear, definitive advantage.
Yeah, Elves and Skaven will have anything with AG4 will be rocking.
Oh, vampires would be devastating in that tournament.
Yeah, shouldn't vampires not have bloodlust? They could just drink it off the ground.
Oh my god!
I like that. That's
I like that too.
Great rule.
That's it. I'm going right to Jason right now. Vampires for the win.
So but yeah, the -1 penalty, sure, that can happen with a rainstorm, but when it gets to a -2, that's a bit much. A Khemri team taking a -2 to pick up the ball, like, yeah, I'm just not going to bring them.
It's just going to be pretend it's invisible.
Well, -2 is not too bad for Kent. Well, no, because you get the +1 for the pickup. So yeah, it just puts it on a 6. Yeah,
6. It's a 6, and like, granted, you might have sure hands, but that's a rough day. That's a rough day you're having. So
if you want to score, if you want to win, if you're just crossing one off, I could relate to that, because I was actually, that's not even true. At D20 Bowl, I played Khemri. I actually was able to pick up the ball. I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem with 4 Tomb Guardians not breaking armor, but like getting people off the pitch. Like I was knocking them down left and right, but I could not roll. Anytime I'd roll to break armor, 11, 12, 12, 12, 12, 11, 10. Anytime I'd roll an injury, 3, 5, 4, 1, or not 1, but 2. It was sad.
Welcome to Khemri. Like,
yeah.
That's just part of who they are. Like, yeah, they can hit people, but keeping them down is part of the problem. That's why they took away their mighty blow.
Yep. Well, back to Jason's tournament being the charity event. So I'm going to read this right off of his page for the event. Big announcement. Yep. This will be a free charity event. After much thought and a session with his shrink, I'm sure I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall in that one. I decided to reduce the buy-in to 0 and raffle off a bunch of the stuff to benefit a Florida charity, as I'll be sinking over $500,000 into this one.
Wow.
Ooh, whoa. I've had custom models made from Arnis Studio, and you pay for what you get, and you get quality. So his Crazy Charlie figure is crazy, and it's named Charlie. So I could only imagine how much it's costing. I think he's getting 50 of them. How much it's costing to have those done.
Wow.
So this is the first time I've gotten to do any kind of gaming event since I got to Florida 8 years ago. And so I've always wanted to be a big production for personal reasons. I could relate to that. I put a lot of consideration into this, but decided this is the way I want to go. I'm hoping to go back home in the fall and run it again, with the proceeds benefiting a local charity up there as well. A note I want to include early on is there's a good chance this event will not get NA sanctioned, which by now we know at this point it is not going to be. This played a part in the decision-making process, as I wanted there to still be a good value in this tournament. Should that ultimately be the case, the swag alone will be worth over $15 custom fig, poster, bottle caps, dice. plus trophies and prizes, a raffle, and a chance to donate for a good cause. Any future tournaments I might do will be much less involved, rules and budget-wise, to make them easier, but as I said, this one was always special to me. The nonprofit I'm hoping to give the raffle money to is an animal rescue group called Buddies for Bullies, who rescue, rehab, foster, and rehome English bulldogs. I got my best bud Rufus from them in 2011, and through the years up until his passing in 2016, he was my best friend during a time when I didn't know anyone down here and my marriage was going down the tubes. He became my co-star when I started doing hobby videos and got me through my eventual divorce. I'd already planned on immortalizing him with Easter eggs in both the pitch and the custom poster for the Diabolical Pitch Sanguinator, and I wanted to go even bigger and also give back to the groups that connect animals like Rufus to new loving families. So up for raffle will be one of the custom tournament pitches done by Jack at Maelstrom, some GW Blood Bowl merchandise, a painted Chaos team. And speaking from some, he painted my Necro team, my Necro Undead team that I got from Arna Studio, and he did an amazing job. So that painted Chaos team, I'm sure, is going to be something anyone's going to want to have, as well as a bunch of other stuff from his own personal collection, such as never been played board games and collectibles. Anyone else that wishes to donate an item or two is more than welcome. He's going to post more updates when he gets closer to the tournament, which this is in August. And for players who want to participate in the Crazy Charlie painting contest, I sent the label in. I did the label for him to Raphael at Arna Studio. So they are probably shipping as of right now. And once he has the custom figures, people will be able to get them from them and then, submit that for the tournament in August. So there's still plenty of time. There's plenty of time, actually. There's 2 months, I believe. This tournament event was, when did I say? August 25th. So there's over 2 months. So there'll be plenty of time to get the miniature and get them up painted. And so, being, an NAF cheerleader as I am, a regional tournament organizer and part of the media team and doing everything. I've been preaching the NAF for as long as I've been playing Blood Bowl. And I see both sides, and I respect his decision as much as I'm disappointed by it, because obviously I would want to see people get credit for playing a team and cross one off on the road to 24, get the voodoo points and all that stuff. But I'm happy that it's going to be a charity event, so I'll take some satisfaction in that. And it's in my own backyard. I can't imagine any reason why I wouldn't be there. I'm going to look and see what I have to put up for raffle as well. And it's a great cause. So I hope that despite that it's not going to be NAF and there will be no voodoo points, I hope that people could still find a way to put this event in their schedule. I'm sure it'll go a long way towards making Jason very proud of his event, and it's Blood Bowl, so it's a day well spent.
Yeah, one of the things is there are other major tournaments out there that people know about that are talked about that are not NAF approved. Isn't the Rocky Mountain Rampage not NAF approved?
No, the Rampage was approved. They just did an event as Brian came up with a rule set for Death Bowl.
Right.
Where it was a speed event, and that couldn't get NAF sanctioned. And we know what we're up against, because we're getting NAF sanctioning on our event come October. So he wanted to put something together that would be able to play with that variant, but it never got NAF approved. But people still came to play it.
There's events out there. Just because it's not NAF approved doesn't mean that it won't be a good time. So
absolutely. Well, another event in Pennsylvania almost went the same way. And in the end, I don't know if it ended up getting NAF approved or not, was Tom Knowles. His Tournament of Madness had a rather eclectic set of rules, and it was a very difficult struggle to try and get it NAF approved. And at one point, he basically said, I'm not going to get it NAF approved. I'm going to make it a free event and, just have people come and play with the rules that I want to run. So I don't know if in the end he ended up making some adjustments and having it be NAF approved or not. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look at the event page and see. But, that was another one where he had a very complicated and, lengthy set of rules. But that's what he wanted. So, and I've run speaking of non-NAF tournaments, I've run non-NAF tournaments. Back when we started running events in Wilkes-Barre, the first Hookie Bowl, actually, we had people come up from south of us, Virginia, Nate Ball, and some of their crew and the Harrisburg crew came up, and these guys have been playing Blood Bowl for years. Our guys had just been playing for a few months, so they came up and took all the prizes, and nobody local won anything. And there was a lot of they weren't exactly thrilled about it, and they're like, oh. I said, well, what we should do? We should run a tournament, have it be non-NAF, locals only, and you guys get the experience under your belt of knowing what it's like to play 3 rounds, resurrection style, or putting together a roster with a team build. And you get the experience of doing it so that the next time we run an NAF event, you're ready. So we started doing, God, what was it called? I can't even think of what it was called. But it was a non-NAF event, SummerSlam, something along those lines. Maybe that's where I came up with Stunty Slam. But Stunty Slam was already taken by someone in the UK. I don't know. Either way, we ran it, and people and I actually won that tournament too, the first one we did, which was ironic that it wasn't a Blood Bowl tournament. I played Lizardmen, and Mark out in Vegas played Lizardmen at an NAF event on the same day, and we both won our tournaments. But mine was not NAF, his was.
Was that the kind of couple years where Lizardmen were winning everything?
Yeah, I think so.
That's like a time period that people talk about where like Lizardmen won like a lot of the majors. They won like the John Cup. Like they won like it was Lizardmen just ruling the roost for a while. Kind of like how Dark Elves are starting to do. I know I bring it up a lot, but you can look at tournaments. They're ruling.
So Mark brought up a couple good points. He said the Tournament of Madness was NAF in the end. And another event that is a huge event that is not NAF approved is the Blood Bowl draft that goes on at Gen Con. That is not NAF approved. And that is a huge Blood Bowl event that gets a lot of people and everyone has a great time. And it's highly regarded as an event you want to go to and win. And Mark also said that we had the same Lizardman build when we won those tournaments. I think I went to him and said, hey, what do you think of my roster? And he's like, it's shit, do this. And I'm like, okay. And we both won. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I might have a ringer building my roster for Chaos Cup and anything, but maybe.
Is it Tom Rummery?
Tom Rummery, you got me. Like
his advice to you is whatever happens when you're about to lose, flip the board and they'll forget all about the match.
His first rule was sweep the leg.
Johnny.
Then was flip the board.
That's good advice. You should definitely adhere to that. And you will be asked, yeah, I don't think you're welcome at Chaos Cup anymore.
So preview for future, because I know we've talked, some of the guest stars that we might have lined up for future events. Once again, these are might be's. They're not 100%, but can you preview some of those?
Oh, for people to have on the AMA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've reached out to a few people, and we're hoping to have Tom Anders from Impact Miniatures on the AMA. I talked to Nate Beam and asked him if he'd be interested in being on there, so that'll be an interesting episode. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people. Come at me, bro. Okay. But Nate agreed to be on there. Jack from Maelstrom Gaming Mats, we talked to him about being on there. I know there was one or two other people, but
didn't you mention Katie?
Yeah, I threw it out there to them. I mean, I know she's got a lot going on. Katie and Mike who do the Chaos Cup, seeing as how we were having so many people from Florida coming up to Chaos Cup, I thought it would be awesome to have them on the AMA, and hopefully, there's time to make that happen before September. But like I said, I know, she's got a very busy job. She travels a lot. And she's got a lot on her plate. So, maybe if we can get an hour of her time for the AMA, that would be awesome. So I'll keep trying to do that. And then certainly if there's anybody listening out there who would like to be on the AMA, we've had Magnus on here before. We've had Mark, my friend Mark Zuck from up in New York has been on here before when we had an open format. So anybody who wants to be on here, they're more than welcome. Just let us know and we'll get it figured out.
We're desperate for content.
If that's the case, I'll just bring Jim back on and he can talk for 3 hours and I'll sit back and smile the whole time.
Man, he tells a good story.
He does. Same thing with Ramsey. I was happy just listening to him. He could read the phone book and I'd be happy.
It's that accent. It just lulls you.
Although I was told that my audio voice sounds like warm sweet butter.
Ooh,
I don't know how to take that, but I'll take it as a compliment, I suppose.
that's a compliment. That's a big compliment.
I hate the
If you're
sound
a
of my voice.
halfling person, that's a very big compliment.
No,
That
then
butter just doesn't go on anything.
I'd be eating the sweet butter. What was that thing where he was eating the butter? Oh, it was the Lorax, where the one bear was sitting inside the fridge and he was just putting sticks of butter into his mouth and swallowing them. Yeah, that'd be me.
Reminds me of my dad.
Let's see, anything else in the chat here? Oh, Blood Pitch Sanguinator is going to be amazing. Chris Nelson says that's awesome. Knuffles Wild 2 will be a sevens event with 5 rounds. What do you guys think? That's what Josh says.
I'm digging 5 rounds. That's sure.
5
I think
rounds
more
of
rounds
gambling.
are neat.
Yeah, Jason was talking about that in the posts.
It leads to a more, you don't know what's going to happen, because after 2 rounds, sometimes if you've tied and lost, you're pretty much out of the running. But if you got a couple more rounds in you, like you can do it.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really liked about Hooky Bowl was the 4th round. I really thought having that 4th round gives a little more flexibility to someone who maybe didn't have a great round to really come back and do very well. And actually, it was Jim that suggested that maybe we should consider changing up the River City Dungeon Bowl to 6 rounds of Dungeon Sevens, instead of 3 rounds of regular Dungeon. And after the poll that we did this last week, it looks like we are going to make that shift. So River City Dungeon Bowl in December is going to be a 6-round Dungeon Sevens event instead of just a 3-round standard Dungeon event.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Digging it. Oh man, I'm going to start booking these things. Stunty Slam, man. Getting out at midnight, and once again, I'm an old man and don't want to drive at night. So I'm just booking hotel rooms to come to these events.
Well, hopefully we won't have to I mean, I know I have a feeling the St. Augustine beer event, I'm going to be booking a hotel room. Because I don't know if I'm going to feel like driving back after even just a few. You know what I mean? I may just want to hang out and have a really good time. As opposed to a good time. I'm going to have a really good time. Let's see what else. So, Chris threw out a little nice factoid that Jason hasn't mentioned yet. So Chris is mentioning Jason York. Did you realize you are ranked number 2 on NAF for Street Bowl, just barely under Ramsey?
Ooh.
I had no idea.
Well, here's another little factoid. So while Ramsey was on the AMA earlier, he sends me a message on Facebook chat, and he's like, "Did you know I wrote the rules for Street Bowl?" And I'm like, "No."
That's awesome.
There's that. Yeah, so obviously he's intimately familiar with the rules.
Man, I wish I would have known. I would have asked him the one question I've been dying to ask the Street Ball writer of the rules.
You can ask him. I'm sure he'll go back and listen to the rest of this and count how many curse words or drinks he had because he can't remember.
So, Ramsey, if you're listening, on your kickoff table, you have results that say add cheerleaders or add assistant coaches, but you are not allowed to buy assistant coaches or cheerleaders. Oversight, or I don't know. I don't know. Was that intentional?
No, it was probably his 5th beer speaking.
So, yeah, that's the only thing I've ever noticed. I'm like, I've run Street Brawl now, and I've been to several of them. I run the Street Bowl now. Looks like it's going to be annually, and I've always wondered about that.
Nice. Josh said he'll be on the AMA. Well, of course, we're going to have to. I think we'll have to have him on either right before or right after Stunty Slam, seeing as how he is the reigning state, VOODOO tournament series stunty coach.
Let's call him odds-on favorite.
Yeah, well, see, I like matchups, just like you would like a boxing match and want to watch it on pay-per-view. Well, rumor has it that we're going to be getting a very good stunty coach coming from the Washington, D.C. area because him and his family happen to be on vacation in Florida at the time of our event. So if all falls into place, Ken Washington, who is another one of those Blood Bowl legendary type people, is going to be at Stunty Slam, and he won the Stunty tournament. He won the Beast Tournament Series Stunty pin last year, and he is well known for Stunty teams. So there's a good chance he will be at this event. And if the cream does, rise to the top, there's a good chance that if he comes and plays, that he'll play Josh. And if that's the case, I may have to forfeit my match to whoever I play to go over and watch that match.
That's when we start
streaming.
We live stream. Yeah, we live stream on like Facebook.
We're going to do that. That's a great idea. And that could also go on, seeing as how the Two Drunk Flings are sponsoring the event. I would love to stream that and get that on their Facebook page, because that would be something worth watching, that match right there.
If for some reason those two don't match up, we just need to have them play an extra round at the end.
Oh, I don't know if there'll be... See, this was an event that originally I had conceived in my head as a 4-round. And I mean, you got Ryan coming from Tampa, you got your people coming from Jacksonville. I mean, for me, it's only an hour away. So there was a push to kind of make the event start a little bit earlier, which we did. And it's going to be 3 rounds with 15 minutes in between, to get moved around and set up so that this way there's more time. I don't want to see anybody coming to a match like this and then saying, well, I ran out of time. The last couple of events, like down in Melbourne, not actually the last couple, there was one in particular, the second of the Street Bowl Zeech Challenge. When we ran that event, for whatever reason, I think we started just like a couple minutes late, but every match ran over. And we had to cut matches left and right. And it's never a good feeling. And I'm that coach, that guy, where if I'm playing, and this happened also, I think, at Hookie Bowl when I played against somebody. And if they have the chance to score, I don't want to stop the match and be like, take your last turn. Yeah, you had the chance to score, but time's up. I don't want to win that way. And I've actually tied 2 matches because I let it go on past the clock being up because they had the ball and were in scoring position. So I want to.
I have lost, or not lost. I've tied 2 matches when I was had the ball and in scoring range, and we ran out of time.
It's a bitter pill, and I don't want to do that. So
it really was.
So I want to make, as much as I want to make it 4 rounds, as much as I want to do that, I'd rather see the matches have the time needed to finish than force time for an extra round. I did put in my rules for approval, but there were still some things that I was considering doing, like possibly throwing in bonus points for like throwing a teammate and getting a touchdown. Or a stunty, I might have thrown up something like the first stunty team that takes out a big guy with a stunty player gets a prize. But I was also thinking about, tournament points for doing such a thing. So if anybody listening, has some ideas, nothing's etched in stone yet, even with NAF approval. I can revise certain things, but I even started a small little stunty focus group with some coaches that I knew played stunty, Josh being one of them and Mark being the other. And, some guys from over in the UK and whatnot who play stunty, because I wanted their feedback on the special play cards that are going to be used, the team builds. I don't know if anybody realizes this, like even when I put together a tournament, I seek outside counsel. I'll talk to Ryan or I'll talk to Mark, Perry. I like to get feedback, bounce it off of somebody. So that this way it's not like, he's running this event and, it's kind of untested or it's kind of on, I don't know. I want to run a fair event and make everybody happy. So I actually like getting feedback from people and some ideas. And I love borrowing ideas. I won't deny it. I was actually thinking today of a tournament that so let's say you can't travel to the West Coast Quake, or you can't travel to Sin City Bowl, or you can't travel to Rocky Mountain Rampage. I was actually thinking of running a copycat tournament where I would reach out to the tournament organizer for that tournament and say, hey, can I run your tournament here in Florida with the exact same rule set and the exact same this and that? So this way you get that event, but it's in your area, so you don't have to travel to it. I thought that might be neat to try one time and see how that goes.
Sloppy swampage? I don't know.
What does that mean? Is that like code?
Rocky Mountain Rampage.
Oh.
Florida, it'd be like the sloppy, swampy, I don't know, something alliterative.
Let's go back to the chat here. I love that people are chatting while we're talking about this stuff. So Liam one day would like to attend the tournament if work ever allows, or be on the AMA, or both. Stunty 101 for Josh. How not to find a way to lose. We need more South Florida. Yeah, we do need more South Florida. I've pushed. I've tried to make a break. There are areas of Florida that are still their own little bubble of Blood Bowl. And I've reached out to Miami and down that way to try and that's why I think it's going to, like, the Pro Bowl that Cody and John are running down that way, I think will be a good opportunity to possibly get some of those Miami coaches in that area up a little bit more north. And once they come up and see what kind of events we run and how cool we are, maybe they're more inclined to like doing a road trip up this way or us going down that way. That's one of the things that I would love to see happen in the next year. Let's see. Kai says he's been saying it since he loves playing with us guys, and he was drunk when he wrote them. Or no, I don't know. I think I'm reading that out of turn. No, James said he was the NAF cheerleader, so you can add him if available for moral support. Yes, and I will come wearing the cheerleader outfit. I will be your worst nightmare. I love a crowd. No sideline coaching. Blame the tentacles. Testicles? My issue with not adhering to this is Josh. My issue with not adhering to the time limit is it's not really fair for everyone else. Why should someone else get more time to score when other folks have played faster? I understand that and I agree with that, but it is a personal thing for me that I feel like I'm being a dick if I know that I have that 1-0 or 2-1 lead and you could tie it, and I'm like waiting for the timer to go off so I can turn to you and say, time's up, sorry. But on that turn, or the next turn you could have scored. You were there, you know what I mean? That's just a personal thing for me, and I struggle with that. And I'm not saying I make the right decision because I was the tournament organizer for that one event, and it was Kai that I was playing against. And Nick said, Nick was running the event as the ringer, and he came over and he's like, time's up. And I said, yeah. I said, but he's got the ball and he could possibly score either on this turn or the next turn. I said, I can't. He's like, dude, you're the TO. It's your event. Do what you want to do. And I said, I'm gonna let it go. And yeah, I probably put the tournament behind a little bit by doing that, but I just had a hard time. With that. And then Chris throws out, not a popular opinion here, but people should play faster.
Oh, it's a popular opinion, but I'm a big advocate of chess clocks. Like, I know the games I played, like, I don't play that slow. Like, I know that. Like, but, I think a lot of people play at a leisurely pace because they're used to leagues. And in leagues, you can play and kind of, ponder and stuff like that. Tournament scene's a little different. You got to play a little bit more fast and loose.
Yeah, Mark Perry just said time is time. Once called, it's over. And I get it. And that's why, it's in the tournament rules, and I mentioned it before I start an event, is that, the first half of the match, play at your own leisure. The second half of the match, don't be afraid to put your opponent on the 4-minute timer. I mean, we got to keep it moving. But then, then there are people like me who just feel bad about doing it. And then Liam just said, I have to agree with Chris. I think timers on tournaments is fine. So do I. It's just, not everybody uses them. So, with Magic the Gathering, I noticed at GIFO when they have their events, when the time on the clock is up, it's up. And I don't know what that does to Magic, but I know that they have a timer, they have a clock, and when it's over, it's over. And Liam says, I think I felt myself physically aging in some games I've played. Oh, Magnus is on there now.
It's one of those things. It's just, yeah. But you can also look at fair as different. There's different ways to do fair. Like, what's fair? So an equal amount of time, 2 hours. We all have 2 hours. I guess that's fair. But if we all have 12 turns, that's also fair. Like, everyone has to get 12 turns in. If this person gets 12 turns in and these people only get 8 turns in, is that fair? Like, I don't know. It's how you slice fair.
Yeah, you could put spin on fair.
Yeah, I'm talking, that's kind of the thing we look at it.
Well, then let's suffice it to say that I've already talked to several people from Jacksonville, and like I said, they pushed to get an earlier start because they have a 2-hour drive to go home. So I appreciate that. And you coming from Tampa, you have a 2-hour drive to go home. I appreciate that. So let's say it's Stunty Slam, we're going to use a timer. And it's going to, as much as I don't want to do it, if I'm playing, which I'm hoping to play, as much as I don't want to do it to my opponent, and, I have already a history of allowing for the turns to go on, I'm going to adhere to that, not for me, but for the people that I have to be respectful to who are traveling home after, on a Saturday night after a 4-hour event, and they have 2 hours to drive home. So I will have to get better at doing that and actually, sticking to the timer and sticking to the rules.
I think Stunty's got to be a little rougher too, just because I don't think a lot of people are used to playing Stunty. I'm not. I haven't played Stunty in years and years and years. And then the secondary thing is Stunty have a lot more roles. I think Josh brought that
Josh
up,
is always he's always bringing that up in a good way to let people know.
Yeah, they've got boneheads and very stupid. You got to roll pick them up. Are they going to eat them? Then we got to throw them. We got to scatter them. There's a lot of time that goes into doing that. They dodge all the time. They're just dodge, 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 dodge. There's tons of rolls that are going on. So I think that's going to be a test of some people's mettle.
Yeah, another reason to keep it, three rounds as opposed to 4, and to give that, so the rounds will actually, could go up to 70 minutes with 5 minutes left for setup. So at 15-minute breaks. So if you really had to go over, I think I might just make the cutoff 70 minutes. And when we did this at the last Zeech Challenge event, the Flex event, I was using my phone as a timer, and when 70 minutes were up, it was up. So, and Josh says, everyone's agreeing with me. Wow, this is weird. So Liam says, I agree with James on the matter that I'd feel bad not doing that. Almost like a cheap win. Yeah. Chris said, yeah, I'm with Jim. I'm not going to end a match if the guy can run in. Josh, Stunty aren't disadvantaged because of the low strength. It's because of rolls, re-rolls, activations, etc. And then Josh says, I'm ending you, Chris, after I run you in. Talk, threat. Major threat.
Fighting words.
Yeah. Like the Three Stooges said, those are fighting words in my country. It's a good thing you're not in my country. So this has been a long. It was weird because before when Ramsey was on, I'm like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I'm like, man, time's moving really slow here. And, I'm hoping Steven gets on here. But obviously, he probably had something else come up. I hope it was sexual in nature because that would be a good excuse. But anyway, so now we're over. So normally when we cut out at 2 or 11 o'clock, it's 11:30. And I feel like Captain America. Like, I can do this all day.
Are you going to fight people now?
Yeah, I'm going to just go them on. Chris is like, I'll see you at Inconceivable. I already have my hit list at Inconceivable. Ken's going down in Meeple Fire. And Alan, every Smurf that I put in the red box, I'm going to light on fire. I'm like, sorry, we're playing hardcore Blood Bowl. I get to light your Smurfs on fire. So Magnus says, I like doing time turns to try and curb the issue so you never have 4+ turns to skip and call it a game. And Josh is quick to point out that the Brokers are on a 10-game undefeated streak in tournaments, and he only knows threats. Fuck you, Liam. There are no meeples in your future. Oh, and Mark says, I can't wait to meet you Florida players at Chaos Cup. Mark's just saying that to butter us up because I think at one point he was like, yeah, let's do like my Vegas crew versus your Florida crew and we'll see who does better. But then all of a sudden Mark's Florida crew became Mark. Or I'm sorry, Mark's Vegas crew became Mark. I think maybe one other person's going, but there was a bunch and then it just kind of got dwindled down to Mark. So
Still do it online.
We could do that. That might get more.
We could do a Vegas, Florida online like tournament of justice.
the last time that I ended up getting into and this is how Mark and I started kind of being friends. So we had this guy in our league back home. His name was Joe, and I'll just leave it at that. And Joe was, as much as he liked playing Blood Bowl, he was not a very good Blood Bowl coach. And Mark and Joe were playing online, and Mark destroyed him. And Mark he wasn't bragging, but he was basically saying like, yeah, I can play him 100 times and beat him 100 times. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, don't say that unless you're willing to put your money where your mouth is. And Mark's like, I'll make that bet. He's like, I'll play him 100 times and he won't beat me once. I'm like, shut up. So I forced the issue, and he literally, and maybe it was 50 times. It was either 50 or 100, but they literally played that many matches. I'll have to wait and see what Mark says, what he remembers. But they played 50 matches or 100 matches, and Joe never beat him. And I don't remember if I owed him money or if I bet him something or I don't know what, or even if I paid up on it. But it was a bet. And
anymore.
What's that?
I don't think your soul's intact anymore.
Yeah, probably not. It's been tainted by Vegas taint. But it was 50 matches, Mark said. And yeah, Joe, I'm like, come on, Joe. I'm like, just one fucking match. And I want to say, I don't know if they reset their teams after every. I think they were playing with the same team like for 50 matches, and it was just disgusting. Like it was, I'd be like, Joe, just fucking beat him one time. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just beat him one time. Just shut him up. And he couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, you were right, Mark. He can't play. Oh, Mark said he would pay up $100 if Joe tied or beat him, and he was never able to pull it off. Oh dear God, that was funny. But yeah, Mark and I talk like every day about the matches. I think that's like when Mark and I really started becoming Florida and Vegas. Well, it was Pennsylvania at the time, becoming long distance besties.
I think that could be arranged, though, man. Online. Florida, Florida,
there you go. I know Eric was keen on running it when we were talking about the Florida online thing, but believe me, I'm sure you can turn around and talk to Mark and get something going as early as next week. Vegas versus Florida for the online. And we just lost Steven the Phoenix too, because he would have been obviously an ace in the hole.
Yeah, he would have been a good one. But we still have plenty of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really good players.
Yeah, Magnus says he likes playing online Blood Bowl. Fumble is the best, Mark says. I have to agree. I loved playing Fumble. I haven't played in a long time. Steven is in for Sin City Bowl. Oh, Steven's going to Sin City Bowl. Well, you get what you wish for, Mark, because he's going to come in there and he's going to give you a run for your money. So there's no doubt about that.
Just don't let him comment on the Facebook thing, and then otherwise it'll be fine.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to add to this AMA number 5 before midnight comes and we all turn into pumpkins?
I'm good.
I got nothing.
All right, so we talked about all the upcoming tournaments. We talked about the Princess Bride watch along that's going to be before the tournament, the Inconceivable. We talked about Chaos Cup. We talked about the Three Kingdoms Challenge. We talked about the Two Drunk Flings podcast. We talked about Pygmy Racist GW Miniatures. We talked about Ramsey's drinking problem. We talked about covered a lot of ground tonight.
It was a good night.
And Mark says we got to finish with Fling Nation. So yes, I will take it there. Fling Nation all the way. There's going to be a lot of Fling Nation going on at Stunty Slam USA 2018, going down on July 14th, Saturday night. Be there. Be square.
On a barf. Barf Nation.
Barf Nation? No. Fling Nation, buddy.
Nation. Underworld
Anybody?
Nation.
Last call. Anybody? 1, 2, 3?
Nope.
All right. Guys, thanks for
Thanks a lot, man.
Doing another AMA.
It was fun.
I think we should do another. It's early. It's early, Jack. I think we should do another one before. Yeah, we'll have Josh on. Do another one. Maybe we can get Tom Anders in there too before Stunty Slam. That'd be cool.
Sounds good.
I would be surprised if we don't see a bounty or two on Josh before Stunty Slam.
I'd be surprised if we don't see one on him at Stunty Slam. Because if he's going in, is like the what's the number 1 seed, so to speak, like the Vegas odds that he's going to coming out on top. I think there might be some bounties going down on him that day. So
Yeah,
we're gonna see.
If I was a betting man, I'd be betting on Josh.
Well, Josh he just said there's already bounties on me.
There's a solid way to beat Josh. A very solid way. Puncture his tires before he can even get there.
I tried to do that with Chris Nelson, but he still managed to get to St. Augustine. And that is the running joke. Like, so I was supposed to go Sunday morning, drive out to Lakeland and pick him up and then drive to St. Augustine. And I had no problems doing it because I like to drive. But I was so sick Saturday night. I messaged him. He told me he messaged me at some point. I don't even remember. But supposedly I gave him enough time. I messaged him at some point early that morning and said, dude, there's no way. I don't even think I'm going. So in my head, jokingly, because I'm half high on NyQuil, I'm laughing, going, somebody else is finally going to win one. And then I see some post like later on saying something like, yep, I got 3.5 hour drive. And I'm like, that fucker got transportation. Someone's not going to win, jokingly. And then when we were there giving out the awards, I made that joke right before, right after it was announced that he won. I'm like, guys, I tried to leave him stranded, but he fucking found his own way here. So, nothing I can do about that. And then Josh says, I get to tournaments by being thrown by a tree man. I need no tires. Goddamn. If there was such a cereal called Stuntios, he would eat them. Even if there were no marshmallows. And Chris is laughing. I'm glad he has a sense of humor about it. I actually offered to pay for his tournament entry. That's how bad I felt. And he said, don't worry about it, because he's a good guy like that. Anyway, all right.
It was fun, guys.
Yeah, I'm out. I got to drive home and then go to bed and then do that thing called work to collect that thing called money.
Yep.
All right, John.
All in the online universe.
Talk to y'all soon. Have a good night.
Have a good night.